Hey, everybody. How are you? We are getting ready for showtime. Running a little late today. In fact, I got to turn on my beauty lights. So I have Tim Burchett on today at 8:05. Big controversy regarding Tim Burchett. I'm going to get into that. Do you know who I'm working on getting? I cannot say this on the air, but I am this close to getting Jay Leno to appear on the radio program. I don't know if it's going to happen, but that would be amazing. So, but that's our little secret. All right. So don't tell anybody. And for whatever you do, don't tell Jay Leno that I'm like a hardcore conservative because he may not come on.
Is that true?
Why would I lie, KGB? Yes, it's really true. Why would I tell you? You hate me, like every other producer I've ever had. You always side with Joan every time.
We know why.
Anyway, so working on that. I've got great audio from Kid Rock today. I have we lost in Wisconsin. I am so pissed at Wisconsin because we lost. So that means that the Supreme Court is going to be able to gerrymander a couple of Republican seats out of the House of Representatives. So I got some great audio on that. Also, I thought this is interesting here in Tennessee. Gosh, real quick. In Tennessee, there is a debate over whether or not someone could sue or should be able to sue a university or college if they don't comply with the Supreme Court's ruling on affirmative action. So basically, if you're qualified but you don't get into a college because they are applying affirmative action to their decisions on who gets in, then you'd be able to sue that college because that is effectively illegal. So I'm trying to work all that out. It's a complicated story, but I do want to do that today. Take our Daily Dan poll, which is all about proxy voting. That's the big controversy that Tim Burchett is involved in. I think I'm going to open with that story. Brian Wilson is going to be with us at. Brian Wilson is going to join us at 6:38. Tim Burchett 8:05, and it's going to be a big show. Thanks for watching.
Good morning to you. It's 5 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And we begin this morning in Wisconsin, where voters chose a liberal judge to fill a vacant seat on the state Supreme Court in what's now considered the most expensive judicial race ever. ABC News senior political correspondent Rachel Scott is in Milwaukee.
This is Wisconsin. This is a critical battleground state. This was President Donald Trump's narrowest margin of victory in the November election. He won this state by just about 30,000 votes. Not only is this a critical battleground, but the state Supreme Court here could have big rulings coming up, including on abortion rights, and also they could be potentially ruling on any congressional redistricting.
And also, Wisconsin, as a swing state, helps determine who wins the presidency. And its liberal Supreme Court would have the final word in resolving election disputes. Another overnight severe weather threat is coming tonight with a storm that'll put the mid-state in a 3 out of 5 severe threat zone. Now, it's far western portions of Middle Tennessee and the northwest portion of Tennessee that's staring down the biggest threat. Here's Channel 4 Stefano DiPietro.
Now, when you get toward areas like Paris and Murray and getting into portions of Trigg County as well, a rare 5 out of 5 has been issued, as it has for much of West Tennessee.
Flooding, downpours, and high wind gusts, they're going to be the main threats, but also an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. We'll have balmy temperatures and rain for the rest of this week as well. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Markets ending the day mixed. The Dow lost 12 points. The S&P gained 21. The Nasdaq added 151 points. President Trump is expected to enact his tariffs. Several reports say he's considering a 20% flat tariff rate. Employers posted 7.6 million job openings in February, a sign that the job market is slowing but remains healthy. Johnson & Johnson dropped 7% after a bankruptcy court judge denied the company's settlement plan related to baby powder containing talc. It's the third time the company's attempt to resolve the baby powder settlement through bankruptcy has been rejected by the courts. On the winning end, PVH jumped 18% after the company behind the Calvin Klein and Tommy Hilfiger brands reported a stronger profit for the latest quarter than analysts expected. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
Stock futures this morning on the minus side. We've got Dow futures down 119, NASDAQ futures losing 82, and the S&P futures are down 19. That's the latest news. We've got traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Well, check out the roads this morning. The majors look okay. No problems coming in on 24 this morning. 65 also doing okay. And just keep in mind that it is spring break. So you've got Rutherford County, Murfreesboro City, and also Murray County on spring break today. None of those buses will be out there on the roadways. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So much going on today. It is Tariff Wednesday, and so this is the day, of course, that tariffs are set to take effect. Donald Trump's tariffs set to take effect. We will talk about that and a whole lot more straight ahead. Some very disappointing decisions by voters in Wisconsin. This is something we've been talking about for the last several days, where in Wisconsin, you know the story, there is a Supreme Court opening, and unfortunately, the Democrats won. You just heard Jones reporting on that. The Democrats won. Republicans lost that special election in Wisconsin. Again, this was a seat on their currently liberal Supreme Court. Susan Crawford did get the win. She is the liberal.
I really focus on our Supreme Court. I focus on the rights of Wisconsin residents under our Constitution and our laws, and that's what I talk about. I try to, get people to focus on that. I do ask voters to consider whether they want to have somebody be able to buy a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court, but I try to keep my focus on this race and what it means for Wisconsin and not what it means as some kind of a nationwide referendum.
It is interesting, and I don't believe that this is a nationwide referendum, but this does mean that they will be able to, if they so choose, and they probably will, they'll be able to gerrymander or redistrict 2 Republican House seats out of the United States House of Representatives. They will go on to become seats for the Democrats. So this is not good by any stretch of the imagination. You know what, though? I'm always trying to make, lemonade out of lemons, right? This could have a bit of a positive impact, because if this does give Republicans a bit of a reality check and really focus on what is going on in these special elections and also certainly in the midterm elections, then ultimately this is something that we can derive something positive out of. But I'm here to tell you this is a very, very bad day for Republicans for a couple of different reasons. Number one, what we did see in Wisconsin, also what we saw with Mike Johnson and Anna Paulina Luna. I think that's it.
Anna Paulina Luna. Yeah, you got it.
Thank you. I always flip those last two. Anna Paulina Luna. And how Mike Johnson, and there's a lot of layers to this, just so you know. There's a lot of layers to this, where she wants proxy voting. She's a new mom, and she wants to be able to basically work from home. And so this has been a battle that's been going on, and I'll get into more detail on this in the 6 o'clock hour. But I'm just telling you why it's a bad day for Republicans. Because Speaker Mike Johnson decided to attach Donald Trump's agenda to this vote on proxy voting through, these legislative tricks. And when the vote didn't go Mike Johnson's way, and Anna Paulina Luna won that by convincing 8 other Republicans, including Tim Burchett, to vote with her on allowing representatives to vote via proxy or vote from home, along with all of the Democrats, then ultimately the Democrats and Anna Paulina Luna won. Now, what Mike Johnson did, stupidly, I'm trying to figure out, Joan, who I'm more pissed off at, Mike Johnson or Anna Paulina Luna. So Mike Johnson decided to, in what I think was an incredibly stupid move, legislatively attached a lot of the things that they were working on, Donald Trump's agenda, to this vote. And so basically what he did was he lost that vote. And so now all of the Trump agenda points, it was attached to that vote. And now everybody's gone home. And now they're in a big old stalemate. And Johnson is like, well, I don't know what to tell you. But this means that we can't work on, activist judges. We can't work on border issues and all of the rest of the things that Donald Trump wants us to work on, because he stupidly attached Trump's agenda to this proxy vote.
Hang on now. What about the legislators that voted? There were 9 of them that voted with Anna Paula. See, you've got me doing it too. Anna Paulina Luna.
Yes.
There were 8 others that voted with her in order to dash this bill. Mm-hmm. Why were they voting in favor of proxy voting instead of advancing the president's agenda?
And that's what I'm going to ask Tim Burchett. Because you're right. Because they voted knowing that a vote for proxy voting would ultimately put the House of Representatives in a spiral and in a tailspin, and it would stop all progress on Trump's agenda. And so when word came out that Burchett and 8 other Republicans had voted with all the Democrats in the House of Representatives to further proxy voting, did they know that they were torpedoing Trump's agenda at least for a few days? That's number one. And I'm going to ask Tim Burchett that question. Number two is, and they're saying, and Tim Burchett is going to say that, listen, Johnson can, if he changed the rules once, he can change the rules again. He can bring whatever individual pieces of legislation he wants to the House floor. He can do that. So why isn't he doing that? Is he punishing the 9? Why is he doing this? So I think that there's a lot of layers to this conversation. And I don't know who I'm more ticked off at. If I'm ticked off at Anna Paulina Luna or if I'm ticked off at Mike Johnson. Because I think that they both made mistakes.
This also gives that crack, that teeny tiny little daylight crack that Democrats, that liberals will jump into and say, okay, here's our opening.
Oh, yeah.
There's a problem with the Republicans, the chaos on the House floor.
The Republicans are in disarray. Yeah, and I got to tell you, you know who's really going to be ticked off about this is Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if he's tweeted anything or posted anything on True Social today.
I'll look.
Yeah, let me know, because I think that ultimately the American people are the victims here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because we voted for Trump's agenda. And now the Republicans in the House, because they couldn't get their act together, Trump's agenda is stalled. And it does make us look bad. It does make it look like we simply cannot get on the same page. By the way, the Daily Dan poll on Supertalk 99.7, actually YouTube, you watch us and you subscribe and you like the channel and all that on YouTube. Take the Daily Dan poll. And the poll is, how did we word it, KGB, real quick?
Yeah, should Congress allow new parents to vote/work from home?
Okay, so what are people saying?
77% say no.
Okay, 70. And by the way, and again, I'm going to get into all of this in far more detail in the 6 o'clock hour. But Republicans say that, number one, it is unconstitutional. And the way that I look at it, it's a matter of interpretation. But number two is the expectation is that these representatives are supposed to be in Washington, D.C. They're supposed to be debating bills. They're supposed to be facing the media. They're supposed to be trying to convince others that their legislation is the right legislation, or they're supposed to be in the chamber fighting the Democrats, or if it's a Democrat, fighting the Republicans. And when you're working from home, you're not doing that. And so for the Republicans, I don't know, this whole thing is just a train wreck.
There is a tiny sliver of good news.
What's that?
So not only in Wisconsin were they voting for the state Supreme Court justice, they were also voting on whether or not the state constitution would be amended to require voter ID.
Yep. They've had voter ID for a number of years. Now, because of last night's vote, they did agree to amend the Constitution so that it's going to be a lot harder for a future Democrat governor or whatever, or a future Supreme Court to be able to take that off the table. So
no drop boxes, same day voting, and paper ballots are gone.
So, and you know what's interesting, Joan? So now you have people that are saying that, well, this is proof that there was, some sort of tampering involved.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how could they vote for a Democrat or a liberal Supreme Court, but at the same time vote for voter ID and some of these other things? And I think part of that is just that Wisconsin is an extremely purple state, and they've done this. We spoke to Matthew Hurd about this a while ago, a couple of days ago, whenever it was, may have been yesterday, who knows. And he said that, you look at the history of Wisconsin, and this is very typical of what you see in Wisconsin, which is why, Joan, that it's a battleground state.
Yeah, exactly.
Because these are the kinds of but it is good news that voter ID and all of those other things that they voted to put into the Constitution officially, that is good news. All right, it is 5:16. Time to check the roads on WTN.
Still looking very good this morning, heading in on the major roadways. No delays to speak of this morning. Great time to head out. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, 5:16, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. As far as your weather for today, 84, windy, cloudy, possible heavy storms late tonight. Joan, can we talk about the weather
Okay,
real quick?
let's do.
So what time is the bad stuff supposed to come in?
So it's tonight. I don't have the exact. Oh, yes. Stefano DiPietro said after 8 o'clock. So we're looking at a nighttime storm. Nice. And the threat here for severe weather is a 3 out of 5. The big problem is to the west of us. So the western portions of the mid-state and western Tennessee and southern Kentucky. The very western portions, they're a 5 out of 5 for serious weather. So
Are they really?
yeah.
Wow.
And as you go eastward and southward, it gets, much less. There's a huge decrease in the severe threat outlook.
All right, so it's going to happen apparently tomorrow night.
Tonight.
Tonight. Stefano DiPietro, did he tell us what pajamas we should wear?
I've been looking for it. He's falling down on his duties.
Okay, I'm going to wear flannel.
Yeah, okay.
That's what I'm going to do, Stefano. Just so you know, I'm going to wear my flannel pajamas tonight.
You might be a little warm because it's going to be balmy for the next couple of days.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm one of those really annoying people. This is what Amy hates this about me. I like the house to be really cold.
Oh, I like that too.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
How cold? Like, what's your temperature at? What's your thermostat at?
My temperature, my ideal temperature is going to be 68, 69 degrees.
That is cold.
Mm-hmm. I can wear my flannel pajamas and I can get all snuggly underneath the covers. Yeah, that helps me sleep.
Once you wake up, you're like, you have to get out of the covers, and it's like you're freezing.
Not a problem with me.
So you make the rest of the people in the house suffer
Miserable.
for your comfort.
Oh, I make them miserable on a number of different ways, actually. No, here's you know what they do? So they wait till I go. Why are we doing this now? They change the temperature when I fall asleep.
Oh.
So I fall asleep and then I wake up and it's 74 degrees at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay,
1 o'clock in the
74 is
morning.
too hot. There's a healthy middle.
They're not in my house. We fight like Republicans and Democrats on that stuff. Man,
Your wife talks for 25 hours straight about the temperature.
No, that is Cory Booker, and we'll talk about Cory Booker. By the way, you'll love this, Joan.
Okay.
I gave KGB an assignment. I told KGB I need to know how it is that Cory Booker was able to speak for 25 hours yesterday and the day before, and he did not leave the chamber to go to the bathroom.
I found out.
You found out? Okay, so don't say it, and maybe somebody must have. I bet you Murphy covered this yesterday. So
He did a little bit.
Did he? So
Yeah.
So I want to know, and we'll share with the audience at 5:35. How exactly is it that Cory Booker was able to go 25 hours without going to the bathroom? That's number one. Number two, why did he do it? I think, you and I, Joan, we talked about how Booker may have presidential aspirations. Let's also not forget that Chuck Schumer, people are calling for Schumer to no longer be the leader of the Democrat Party in the Senate. So we may have mentioned that yesterday or not. Yesterday's kind of a blur to me, but that's another question that we would have is, okay, so what happened? What is Cory Booker? Why is he doing this? Maybe he wants to be the leader of the Democrat Party when Chuck Schumer decides to step down. Or maybe he's going to challenge Schumer. We'll have to wait and see what happens.
This is all attention getting again.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't even. It wasn't a filibuster, so he wasn't, going against some legislation. It wasn't like that. He was just out there for 24 hours opposing President Trump and claiming that this is the will of the people. Well, the will of the people happened in November.
He's an idiot. This is not the will of the. I don't know why they keep with that.
Yeah.
With that talking point, it is not the will of the people. All you have to do is look at the Electoral College and also, of course, the popular vote. Donald Trump won both. So you can stop with this stupid, it's the will of the people stuff, because it's not. But, oh, look, Democrats are lying. Not exactly a big shock, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, we'll talk about that and a whole lot more. That first segment already over?
Dunsky.
I didn't even get to, my entire story of what happened in Wisconsin.
Well, we
kinda
did find out crucial information about the thermostat. That's what we needed to know.
And what type of pajamas you wear.
Flannel, baby.
Yeah.
All right, 521, and Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Hey, Joan.
We've got more information on those big storms that are arriving overnight. Also, a beloved Hollywood actor has died. We've got that's coming up here at 5:30. I was almost going to say 6:30. I'm pushing the morning along. 5:30 here.
Please do that. Push the morning along, could you?
Should I do that?
Sure.
At Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Did you know you're overpaying for your health and wellness products?
With over 20 company-owned brands offering its members vitamins, supplements, wellness, and skincare products, you're able to save up to 70% off retail.
Members Nutrition can't change your life, but we can change the way you live.
So people are mocking me because of the fact that I like to have the house so cold. But see, here's my thing on that, is that the older that I get, the colder that I like it, which is really weird because usually when you get old, and you folks that are older than me, I'm 57, you folks that are older than me, you can fact check me on this. But usually when you're older, you like the house hotter, right? So for me, I think it's a good sign that I'm aging well. Because that's my story and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, I know Val Kilmer passed away. Because he was a great actor in Top Gun. KGB, thumbs up, thumbs down. Was he a good Batman? You thought he was? He only did it once. But well, we'll talk about that.
So he was good in a sense, but he could have been better.
What?
He was middle of the road.
He was a middle of the road Batman. Okay, well, very good. Is it sacrilegious to say that I wasn't a big fan of the Batman movies? Like I'm just
the one in the 90s?
No, all of them. I just wasn't a big fan of the Batman movies.
It's each their own.
I thought it was so ridiculous because they're always like, I am Batman, right? They would do that.
That was in one.
But then that's not how he usually spoke. It sounded ridiculous to me. It just sounded dumb. Whatever. Was Michael Keaton a good Batman? Michael Keaton?
Yes.
Is he? All right, whatever. 0396 says, we need to have Stefano DiPietro on the radio show. I don't think he would come on, actually. I genuinely don't think he would come on. What'd you say? I'm not making fun of him. I don't need his help to tell me how to dress. And by the way, just so we're clear, not only do I have flannel pajamas, I have like sweatpants. If it is really hot, I'll sleep in like basketball shorts. I Oh, 15 seconds out. We should probably stop there. All right. Coming back. .526, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. How are you? Watch us on YouTube, YouTube, Facebook, and 997WTN.com. And go to YouTube, like and subscribe to the channel. We just had a nice chat with the YouTubers about a number of different things, including, by the way, Val Kilmer. During the commercial breaks, I try to, when I can, engage with people off the radio and just with the people that are watching on the stream.
Did you see him in the Top Gun Maverick, the sequel?
Yeah.
Of course I did.
That was like, even he said nothing, but he was still like right in the heart. You know what I mean? Because he was going through, obviously, throat cancer, but still, it was just emotional as all get out.
Well, Val Kilmer was an amazing actor. We'll talk more about his best roles coming up at 5:35. I do, though, we're talking about what happened in Wisconsin, the special elections. Republicans lost. But I want to play some audio from Scott Jennings because it's all about the voters within the Republican Party. We've talked about this before here, especially in the last couple of days. But we've got these voters who don't come out unless Donald Trump is on the ballot.
I mean, my takeaways from the night are really, where do we go from here? The Republicans still have a small majority in the House. They got their wins tonight. That's good if you're a Republican. Voter ID, still popular apparently. That's good if you're Donald Trump because he was for that. Yep. And, turning out these low-propensity Trump-aligned voters is still a major problem for the Republicans. That's bad. And so if I'm looking out into the future, the Republicans, have something to work with in the House, but also something to work on as it relates to the structural nature of how the party works now. It's a major flip. This used to be the Democrats' problem. You guys had the low-propensity voters. We sort of dominated in these low-turnout settings. Now it's the opposite. Lower turnout, better for Democrats. Higher turnout, better for Republicans.
Do you know what I wonder, you just combine the two stories, two of the big political stories that I have today, where you do have what happened in Wisconsin. By the way, in Florida, and we're talking about this, in Florida, they did, in those two special elections, the Republicans did win those seats. And so but you combine those two stories, right? So you have what happened in the House of Representatives yesterday with Anna Paulina Luna and proxy voting and how Mike Johnson made the very poor decision as leader to attach Trump's agenda to the proxy voting legislation. And now Trump's agenda is effectively dead, at least for the next several days, while everybody regroups. And I think that, Trump voters are like, well, this is the crap that we hate. The politics of Washington, D.C., and what, in my opinion, what Mike Johnson did is antithetical to everything that Donald Trump stands for because he put politics over agenda. We'll talk to Tim Burchett at 8:05 on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Got a lot more straight ahead.
Good morning, 5:30 now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Well, here we go again. An overnight storm that may bring us severe weather. Stefano DiPietro at Channel 4.
Heavier rainfall with flash flooding is going to be one of the highest threats, damaging wind gusts with any thunderstorms. Hail and tornadoes will also, though, be possible as well.
Now, the severe weather threat is a 3 out of 5 here in Middle Tennessee. To the west of us, to the far west of us, it's a 5 out of 5. A dozen teens are now facing charges for a big party in a vacant home that was up for sale in East Tennessee. You remember this had happened on Riverside Drive in February. Cell phone video of the party helped police identify the teens. There is one more arrest expected. Damage to the home estimated at about $16,000. 2 Nashville middle school students arrested for making threats. One of them is a 14-year-old at John F. Kennedy Middle School. He reportedly told fellow students he was going to become the next school shooter, and he hinted that he had a list of targets. Also, a 13-year-old at Wright Middle School allegedly telling fellow students he planned to bring an AK-47 to school. Actor Val Kilmer has died. His daughter saying that he died with family and friends at his side after a battle with pneumonia.
Kilmer continued to act with his voice dubbed over by other actors. His final film appearance would be in the most successful movie of his career, returning to the role of Iceman in Top Gun Maverick.
The Navy needs Maverick.
Val Kilmer was 65.
ABC's Rhiannon Alley there. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
All right, so I've only got a second. Want to say hello to some of you folks. Pumpkin Sky says 60 to 63 degrees is perfect in the house. Hello, Pumpkin Sky. The Drumming Machine says he liked Val Kilmer in the Doors movie where he played the Jim Morrison, right? Hello, everyone. Let's see. Jet Builder 98 says good morning. Hello, Jet Builder. There's a lot of comments on here. Larry Hunter. Hey, Larry, how are you, buddy? I hope you're feeling good. And a whole bunch of other stuff. Mario says the best portrayal of Doc Holliday, Val Kilmer in Tombstone, 1993. I saw that movie. Oh, Heat. All right, I got traffic in 10 seconds. All right, we'll see you in a few.
Heading in on 24 this morning, it looks like you're just starting to tap the brakes now as you're around that curve into 40. No problems on 40 itself, and 65 looking great. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
536. Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in. Dan here, along with Joan Jones. KGB is here as well. And a lot of you folks, thank you very much for listening. So, Val Kilmer. So, people on the YouTube chat and also the Super Text line, which, by the way, I'm paying attention to both. Super Text line is open. Lots of great feedback this morning so far. 615-737-9986. Heat. Heat was a great Val Kilmer movie. Remember
I don't know that one.
You don't know Heat?
No.
KGB, please tell me you know Heat. Nope. Okay, so good. Heat is a great one. Tombstone was another one.
Tombstone is one of the most underrated movies of all time.
Right. So, and I saw Heat. I saw Tombstone.
When did Heat come out?
Oh, golly. You'll have to Google that. I'm not entirely certain. But, I mean, it was a long time ago. And, Val Kilmer.
1995.
Okay. Do you know I saw Heat at the drive-in movie?
Are there still drive-in movie theaters?
Yeah, there are.
Yeah. There's one in Watertown, man.
Yeah.
That's a far drive, though.
Dude, do you not know how is the guy, Joan, work with me here.
I know, right?
Right? Okay, Joan knows exactly where I'm going.
I do.
How does a guy who is dating not know about a drive-in movie? Come on, man.
Because I Googled what's closer to me, and I guess Watertown is a
Don't be practical. Stop with the practicality.
And you've got a truck. So you can put a little blanket in the bed.
No, I would
and you
love
can
to
get
do
all
it.
snuggly.
No, why don't we turn this around on me? Convenience is a huge part of dating.
No.
And she's a nurse. She works nights and days, like 12-hour shifts. It's hard to drive an hour.
Is this Svetlana 5.0?
Lana 5.0.
We're done.
I've completely lost track of all of KGB's dates.
We are done. Moving on.
So anyway,
you know what we used to do when I was a kid? My friends worked at the KFC. I think it was a Geno's at the time. And we would go up to the drive-thru. They would pass out buckets of chicken and then meet us at the drive-thru later on. And we would have a party with fried chicken at the drive-thru.
At the drive-thru or the drive-in?
At the drive-in.
No kidding.
Yeah. It was fun.
Yeah, you know what? When I was a kid, we would go hang out. This is why I have such an affinity and affection for In-N-Out Burger.
Oh.
We would go and we would hang out at In-N-Out Burger, and we would just have a good old time. And, we wouldn't vandalize anything like you see these days.
Right.
There's a video. Joan, did you see this video? I think it's going to be an ADD kind of day. Did you see the video, Joan, where, pick one, right? Because there's thousands of them now at this point. All of these kids running around a shopping mall and stealing stuff. And you know what they do. Everybody knows what they do. They all coordinate on social media.
Yes.
And they say, hey, at this mall, at this time, we're all going to meet and we're just going to steal stuff. And they do it.
Yep.
And the cops never arrest anybody, even though it's all on social media. It is so frustrating. I get so frustrated with this stuff because one of the shopping malls, they're having a hard enough time, operating at not a loss, making a profit and so forth. And then this happens. And this is why, one of the reasons why malls close. Then you got all these folks that do the same thing, like a Walgreens and some of these other places. And then people in that community complain because, oh, my God, we're a shopping desert. Oh, my God, we're a pharmacy desert.
Yes.
Well, you know what? Your community stole a bunch of crap to the point where they couldn't make any money, so they closed. Too bad, so sad. It does suck because not everybody in these communities are running in and stealing stuff, but they know who's doing it by and large. And they don't, they don't tell the cops who's doing it because snitches get stitches.
Yep.
So it's hard to feel sorry for the communities when they're screaming about how they're a desert. So anyway, I saw that. And I actually tweeted that out. If you want to look at it, it's on my my X page. Just go down a little bit. Val Kilmer. So did he ultimately die of, what did he die of?
Pneumonia. Now, he had throat cancer, as we all know.
He had throat cancer.
Tracheotomy, and he couldn't speak anymore. Mm-hmm. You can speak through the tracheotomy, I believe, and anybody else could really tell me about this. But what I've seen is you can speak through it, but the sound is just terrible. And so he was not able to, as you know, he was having his voice dubbed over. You told me this morning, I didn't know this. His son was the one who voiced
Top Gun 2.
Top Gun 2.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he came down with pneumonia and was not able to overcome that.
Oh, that's too bad.
Yeah. Yeah, sure is.
But he had a great career, and he had sort of the avant-garde kind of stuff early on. Then he started doing, more blockbuster kind of films. You got your Top Gun, as the movies that we just mentioned. You had Heat, you had Tombstone, you had the one Batman, which, again, I'm not a big fan of the Batman series. I don't know, Joan, if you are, but
no,
Batman doesn't do it for me.
That was the one with Jim Carrey as the Riddler, and Tommy Lee Jones was Two-Face. So they had an all-star cast. I just think the directing was not that good. But, I mean, to be fair, everyone gave it socks. Everyone did as best they could. It wasn't the actor's fault. It was just the plot that was not very good.
Who, in your opinion, is the best Batman? KGB.
That's a tough one.
That's why I asked the question.
Well, Michael Keaton might be
think
number
Michael
one,
Keaton,
but
yeah, I
Christian
saw
Bale's
that one.
up there. Ben Affleck did a pretty decent job, all things considered. It just, again, it wasn't his fault that the writing was god-awful in his Batman movies. But I think when it came to, like, overall movies, like the best movie, and just he happened to be Batman, I think Christian Bale is number one. But the person that really fit the role the best is probably Michael Keaton.
I think so, too.
All right, so I want to play a game. You guys want to play a game?
Oh, we love games.
Okay. Give yourself 1 point for each, and you guys have to keep your own score, okay? Get a piece of paper.
Okay.
Give yourself 1 point, and you folks can play at home. Give yourself 1 point for each thing that you have never done.
Okay.
Now, Joan, I have a feeling you and I will end up with no points, but let's see how this goes.
Okay.
Have you used a rotary phone?
So you give yourself a point if you've never used a
if you've
rotary
never
phone.
done it.
Okay.
Have you used a floppy disk? Have you used a typewriter, an actual typewriter? Have you taken photos with a film camera?
Oh, my goodness.
Is a Polaroid considered a film camera?
Am I the one taking the picture, or is someone taking a picture of me that happens to be that?
You're the one with the camera.
Using it.
Have
is it a film camera? I don't think so. Well,
I've gotten my
whatever.
picture taken with one, but I never used
Well,
one.
and part of that is, okay, have you ever gone to a place where they develop photos, right?
There you go.
All right. Have you ever listened to music on a CD? Have you ever listened to a cassette tape? Remember, give yourself 1 point for each thing you've never done. Joan, how many points you got?
Got nothing. Big goose egg.
I only have one.
You only have 1 point?
Yeah.
Have you ever? No, hold on. Have you ever listened to a Walkman?
Huh.
Okay. Have you ever listened to music on a boombox outside? Have you ever watched a video from a VHS tape? You know, I'm going through all this, and you know what song is in my head? Are you reeling in the years?
Oh, yeah.
Have
Ooh,
you ever
good.
sent or received a fax? Have you ever recorded music from radio to cassette? I used to do that all the time, Joan.
Yeah.
I would sit there.
Yes.
I would sit there and wait. When I was 15, 16 years old, my favorite radio station in Los Angeles was KIQQ, 100.3 FM KIQQ. And they do like the top 5 at 5 or whatever it was. And so I knew, because I had no money whatsoever, but I knew that they would be playing, some of my favorite songs. And I would sit there and I'd wait for the beginning of that song and I'd hit play and record the second that song started. Usually it was a Rick Springfield song.
You should have kept that to yourself.
There you go. Are you reeling in the you? Well, and it was so funny. In the 80s, like when they would do this with Rick Springfield and the top 8 at 8 or top 7 at 7, you'd have like 5 or 6 of the songs were all Rick Springfield. It was crazy. By the way, who's the one guy that I've been trying to get in for an interview for 15 years? Rick Springfield.
Oh, really?
He won't come on.
Is he still alive?
Oh, shut up. Let's see here. Have you ever rented a video from Blockbuster? Okay. Have you accessed the internet by dial-up? Oh, Lord have mercy.
Good times.
Have you ever used a phone book? Have you ever sent a postcard? Have you ever used a paper map to get somewhere?
Oh, gosh.
Have you ever owned a dictionary? Have you ever owned an encyclopedia?
Oh, yeah.
And have you ever paid with a paper check? I got no points, Joan. I've done every one of those things, and I know that you have too. Is there
Absolutely.
I only got 2 points. I never...
You've done... So I think you're... Can I say this about KGB, and I mean this in a positive way? I think you're an old soul.
Yeah.
In a younger body.
I think so, too.
A lot of those is like 90s, like late 90s, early 2000s stuff, too. Like Blockbuster. I mean, well, I went to Blockbuster, but there was a video shop right next to our house called Video City. Mm-hmm. I remember it vividly because I would always rent out of one video game that week, and we get a movie that week, and that would be our week. And so I think I still have an old video game, like an N64 video game that was from that particular store that we kept because it went out of business.
Yep.
But yeah, the only two I didn't do was the camera and the radio to cassette.
Okay.
Those are the only two I never did. I did everything else.
No 0121. Dan does not have a man crush on Rick Springfield. Although, you know what's funny is that he was on my favorite soap opera, which is General Hospital.
Oh, yeah.
And I also liked his music. So, but I don't have a man crush. Dude has an incredible story, Rick Springfield.
Yeah.
Like he didn't want to go on General Hospital because he thought that it would mean that his music would be like more wussified. He didn't want to be like that teen idol kind of a thing because he considered himself like a guitar slinger. Then he got into, some alcohol and drugs and that kind of thing. Then he recovered from all of that. He's just got a great story. And the thing I really like about Rick Springfield's story, and then I'll move on, I promise. Maybe I do have a man crush. Is that he was rejected by, dozens and dozens of record companies. And yet
you stand by his side, didn't you?
He persevered. And then he finally made it. And General Hospital and also his music all kind of hit at the same time. And he ended up, doing really well with both. So there you go. So my Rick.
So Chris
story.
in the chat line added one more to that game, using a pager.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, I've never used a pager.
I never
You didn't?
No, Joan, I never sold drugs.
I never knew how they worked, to be completely honest with you.
I had a pager. I didn't sell drugs.
Like, so you would just dial with the pager. The pager had its own number. Is that what it was?
Yeah, I guess.
And like, how would you like people? Apparently, you can write on there. Like, you can give them like a message on there. I just
Quick
never
message,
knew.
yeah.
Joan, did you have a MySpace page?
I did briefly. I wasn't really into MySpace, but I had one briefly.
Did you?
I never had a MySpace. Yeah. Did you?
I had one at the end of its lifespan before Facebook became more popular.
Okay.
Yeah, that pretty much.
Well,
pager should be on that game though. That's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. A lot of people on the super text line said I had 0.
Yeah. Again, my only two were like radio to cassette because I was more into the CD era.
Right.
Ooh, Chad said I had a bag phone. I had one of those too.
A bag phone?
Oh, like the suitcase with the phone attached to the
Yes.
side. My dad had one of those.
Yep.
I'm trying to think of what else should be on this. Like what
The
else?
bag phone. I like that.
Bag phone, yeah.
And
phone.
A typewriter, by the way, we taught you typewriters in the game, is one of the most satisfying things to write on, I feel like.
Typewriter?
Yeah. Just the noise it makes is kind of, it's just like when you have ideas, it's just a more soothing noise, I guess.
Here's a funny one. This is from 7370. The real test question is, do you still owe Columbia House for all those cassette tapes?
Do you know, did you do that, Joan, when you were a kid?
Oh, yes.
Mom, I can get like 25 cassettes for a penny.
For a penny.
So I did it. And then I was such a knucklehead kid that I would end up owing all this money because I'd get like a Men Without Hats CD and Devo and all of these really terrible cassettes. And no offense if, you like that music. Men Without Hats has like one good song. Devo has a good
dumb
song.
name, Men Without Hats.
Here's a couple more.
Okay,
How
go.
about, have you ever had an 8-track? Listen to
No,
stuff on an 8-track?
I never had an 8-track.
I did.
I think my dad
Wow. Have you ever driven a stick shift car?
Yes.
I mean, they're still around, but
Yep.
yes.
My first car was a stick shift.
Mine too.
Yep.
I learned when I was learning to drive, my dad said, we got to teach how to drive a stick shift just in case.
But okay, I took it to the next level. My brother and I shared a car. It was an El Camino with a stick on the drive shaft.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Somebody else had another good one. Did you ever use leaded gas?
I don't know if I did. Oh, Mario's got a good one.
Yeah.
KGB, have you ever used a payphone?
I have.
You have used a payphone?
Oh.
So I was, I got my son old. Like we were on a trip, like an elementary school trip, and they gave us like change. Do you want to call your parents? And we were like, yeah, sure. So I put the thing in. I still remember my house. I used to have a home phone. Remember when people had home phone numbers?
Yeah.
Just like one in the house.
Yeah.
I remember that number still to this day.
Atari,
Oh yeah.
1844, 8-track or Atari. 5151, did you have a little black book?
Yeah. No. Just had my memories.
I didn't have a black book, but you know what I had? I would have, because I worked in radio, so I was, kind of, I was a player. And so
Oh,
I would.
gosh. Oh, gosh.
I kid you not. I had a shoebox full of girls' phone numbers.
A shoebox.
A shoebox, because I was
Expecting
at the
a text
radio
from Amy
station.
any moment now.
Oh.
I was at the radio station. I would write phone numbers down
Yeah.
of these girls. Okay, and they would give me the phone number, and I mean, gosh, there was a time there where, I was very busy. Let's just say that. Didn't have a little black box though.
Ooh, here's another cool one.
All right.
Have you ever called collect?
No, I never did that.
Yes, I did do that.
I remember
I did do that.
Do you remember the commercials? Like 1-800-ATT. It's free for you and cheap for them. That's always remembered.
Okay. Have you ever had call waiting where you're on the phone
Yeah.
and then you hear that beep beep,
Yep.
Oh yeah.
right? And somebody's trying to get through, or have you
Yeah.
ever did an emergency breakthrough kind of a thing?
Yeah, the
Ooh.
emergency breakthrough.
Did you have a
Oh,
Rolodex?
yes.
That's a good one.
How
Another
about
one
a
texted me.
party line?
976 chat or something like that? Yeah, party line.
No.
AOL chat?
No, when your telephone number is shared with somebody else down the street.
Oh no.
No.
So
No.
we had that in Pennsylvania. My grandparents, my great grandparents came over to the country from England, and they were Methodist. And any old time Methodists know this. You'd have the Methodist church camp, and the church camp that my family was associated with shared their phone with the farmer down the street. So if the phone rang, you would hear ring ring if it was us, and ring if it was the farmer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Someone also said, do you remember calling 411 for traffic reports?
For traffic reports.
Was there any traffic, or what was it 411?
I don't know.
Was that more?
That was information.
That was
411
information.
information. Yeah.
Yep. That was it.
There's also £69. What was £69 again? Was it like to make your anonymous, like for no caller ID?
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, we could go on with this all day, but we can't. It is 5:54 on Nashville's Morning News. Although I'd rather talk about this than Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Or Cory
I'm
Booker.
with you.
Or Cory. Oh, very quickly. How did Cory? Was it adult diaper?
So Ted Cruz made a comment because he did something very similar in 2013. He just said, you just nothing in, nothing out. You don't.
No
you drink
way.
very little water.
You can't. That is humanly impossible.
It's
I
not
think he.
for 24 hours.
This is his quote. Hold on, let me see if I can find it again.
Not for 24 hours.
He just said the most frequent question I would get is like, okay, how do you go to the bathroom? And you can't leave the Senate floor. And the very simple answer is nothing in, nothing out, Cruz. He said one small glass of water during his speech against the Affordable Care Act. If you can drink very little, you can last a long time.
Here's how Strom Thurmond did it.
Yes.
He had a bucket just inside the door of the bathroom, so he kept 1 foot on the floor and 1 foot in the bathroom.
I don't think Cory Booker did that.
Yeah.
I think
so
you wore
you
an
know.
adult diaper, but you cannot go. The human body does stuff.
Nope. Yeah.
And you can't go 24 hours without going to the bathroom, even if you haven't had anything to drink for 24 hours ahead of that. Anyway, Joan Jones, news, what's up?
Some big changes coming to I-65. Want to tell you about, along with some bad weather that's headed our way for tonight.
All right, so that was fun. I think Cory Booker did have an adult diaper. The last thing I really wanted to think about this morning was the visual of Strom Thurmond and a bucket. One guy says, 0141, I had an 8-track recorder. Let's see here. Yeah, Mario says, I think that Cory Booker had adult diapers on. And you know what the funny thing is about Cory Booker having an adult diaper? He's such a baby that it kind of fits, right? Anyway. Oh, you know what? CB radios. Do CB radios still exist, KGB? Do you know? We don't know. Yeah. Time and temperature. People would call the local bank for time and temperature?
Walkie-talkies.
Walkie-talkies. Yeah, walkie-talkies. 9038 has a really good one. Calling the movies to find out what movies were playing for that weekend. Remember that? I mean, God, do you know, how is this for crazy? But it's legit. Newspapers. Like, there are people right now that have probably never even used a newspaper. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, answering machine. You know, we all had answering machines, and you'd walk home. Yeah, okay. That's another one. And this is a good one, actually. Do you remember not wanting to go out because you were hoping that somebody would call you? Like if you were dating somebody and you didn't want to go out because you were sitting at home waiting for a phone call that may or may not come. Maybe that was just a me thing. And then you'd come home and you wouldn't have a message from that person, and then you'd get all, be hurt. Yeah, do you remember the good old days when you could actually, not be tethered to a phone, actually, where your phone was at home and people would call you and leave a message, right? And now you're constantly tethered to your phone. I mean, if you watch a super text line, you know that I'm on my phone constantly, just checking stuff. So anyway, whatever. And yeah, I used to too. I used when I was a kid in California. They did have chat lines, party lines, where it's like 976 talk or whatever, and you dial it up, and there's a bunch of people just talking, complete strangers talking. Why it is I did that, I don't know. I just, bit of a strange growing up. All right. Joan Jones is coming up. Enjoy the news, and we'll see you at 6:06.
Good morning. It's now 6 o'clock. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. A bill that allows schools to turn away children in the country illegally or to charge their families tuition has now advanced in the state legislature.
The Senate Finance Committee voted to pass this bill yesterday. The bill now moves to the full Senate for a vote there.
That's Channel 4's Alexandria Adams with a little background noise. The House version of that bill is sitting in the Government Operations Committee. It's waiting for a debate. A date for that debate and for voting has not yet been set. Drivers who routinely take I-65 should get ready for some major changes. TDOT has kicked off the third phase of a project that'll ease congestion, but it's going to cause congestion to get there. The area that goes under construction over the weekend will focus on a 3.4-mile stretch of I-65 from State Route 41 in Sumner County to Rivergate Parkway in Davidson County. The interstate will go from 4 to 6 lanes there. They'll also replace 8 aging bridges. Among other changes, construction should last through November of 2027. Market Numbers Report now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
A day before President Trump clarifies his plans for new tariffs on goods imported from just about everywhere, 2 of the major stock averages managed gains. The S&P rising 0.4% yesterday, the Nasdaq 0.9. The Dow closed fractionally lower. Shares in Hims & Hers Health closed up 5% Tuesday after the company announced it's offering access to weight loss medication Zepbound and diabetes drug Mounjaro. Eli Lilly, the maker of those drugs, has no connection with the Hims & Hers platform. The looming tariffs on foreign-made cars and car parts gave a boost to vehicle sales in the first quarter, with buyers shopping early to get a jump on tariff-induced price hikes. General Motors says sales were up 17%, sales of electric vehicles up 19%. Police say Deontay Walker of Westland, Michigan went a different route to owning a GM product. The 21-year-old is held on charges of stealing 8 Corvettes worth $1 million from the GM plant in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Right now, stock futures are in the minus column. We've got Dow futures down 182, the NASDAQ futures minus 122. S&P futures are down 28 points. We have some gusty weather that's moving into the Middle Tennessee area tonight around 8 o'clock. Stefano DiPietro telling us that the severe weather threat is a 3 out of 5 in the Middle Tennessee area. And there is some flooding expected because this rain will last from tonight all the way through Saturday, late into Sunday. So we'll have more on that with Stefano coming up here right after the news. That is the latest. We've got traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Couple trouble spots here. We've got Hobson Pike at Granny Wright Lane, the crash there at Long Hunter State Park. Also out at Talbot's Corner, 65 on the southbound side, just before Trinity Lane, a crash that blocks the on-ramp right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:06, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 89.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends. How are you? Well, we've got some bad news. Actually, a lot of bad news today if you're a Republican. We do have some good news as well. So welcome on into your Wednesday. It is April 2nd, 2025. We do have some rough weather on the way. We'll continue to cover that for you as well. A very busy morning. There is some good news and some bad news out there. If you're just joining us, the Supreme Court in Wisconsin is going to remain liberal. The Republicans lost that vote in Wisconsin, which ultimately means that Republicans are going to lose 2 House seats, not only in, of course, representing the state of Wisconsin, but in the House of Representatives. So that is the bad news. The good news, though, is that we did win the special elections in Florida. So that's some positive news. And also there is a new poll out there that even CNN is reporting, and they're talking about the Democrats' favorability rating.
Holy Toledo. Voters' views of the Democrats in Congress among all voters disapprove 68%. And look at the approved number, just 21%, even lower than the Democratic Party at large. This is the lowest on record for Democrats, according to Quinnipiac University polling. You think these numbers are bad? Let's go to this side of the screen. We'll look how Democratic voters feel. Get this. The plurality of Democratic voters disapprove of Democrats in Congress at 49%, and just 40% approve. Horrible, horrible, horrible. Oh, my goodness gracious, you just can't get worse than the...
Yeah, so that is CNN. And let me go ahead and read it for you because those numbers went by pretty quickly. How do voters feel about Democrats in Congress? All voters disapprove of the Democrats in Congress, 68%. Only 21% approve of Democrats in Congress, which is, of course, you know, if you think roughly 50% of the American people are Democrats, then that means that more than half of those who are Democrats disapprove of their own party. So you have that, and they also talk about Democrats themselves. They also, of course, 49% disapprove of their own party in the House of Representatives as well. I think they're right now, you just have, and I'd be willing to bet, if I asked the same of Republicans in Congress, if I asked you folks, a lot of you are conservative, and if I asked you how you felt about Republicans in Congress, I'd be willing to bet that a lot of you would have the same. You know what? Hey, KGB, let's change the poll. This is what I do. Go to YouTube, take the Daily Dan poll. Right now, the poll is this. Should members of the House of Representatives, should members of Congress be allowed to proxy vote? Now, the reason we're doing that is because there's a big story today about Democrats and proxy voting, and Tim Burchett is involved in this controversy. I'm going to get into that straight ahead. Real quick, that poll, how did that poll turn out, KGB?
Yes. So right now, it was, last time we checked, it was at 77% no. It went up to 82% no.
So 82% of the super texters or the people that were watching us on YouTube said no, that the Congress should not be allowed to proxy vote. Okay. So now we're going to change that to, and this is going to be really interesting. So I just played you audio of how voters disapprove of the Democrats in Congress, and it is not good by any stretch of the imagination. Only 21% of all voters approve of Democrats in Congress, as they said, horrible, horrible, horrible. And, you know, Democrats, by and large, also very unpopular. So now the new poll will be, KGB, because I know a lot of you folks are conservative, like it or not. I mean, that's what the audience is. How do you feel about Republicans in Congress? Go to YouTube, like and subscribe, and take the Daily Dan poll. How do you feel about Republicans in Congress? Now, there's a lot going on. What happened in the House of Representatives yesterday? Tim Burchett is mired, Congressman Tim Burchett is mired in controversy And he's going to join us at 8:05 here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. But what happened in the House yesterday? Why are so many Republicans really mad at Congressman Tim Burchett?
Hey, everybody. Tim Burchett's leaving the House floor. Luna, tell us what we just did.
We just changed the House rules to allow new parents to vote after the birth of a child.
Seems pretty reasonable to me.
So this controversy has been brewing in the House of Representatives for a while. That was Anna Paulina Luna, baby in tow, and they've been locked. She has been locked in this contentious battle over proxy voting. She just had a baby, and she wanted to basically be able to vote from home, work from home, and so forth. And the Republicans say that this is both unconstitutional and it will be abused. And this got so crazy that Anna Paulina Luna actually quit the House Freedom Caucus, and she was accusing them of smearing her. So Republicans, by and large, they don't want proxy voting. They don't want people who are in Congress to be able to vote or work from home. Now, remember, Donald Trump is out there. Donald Trump and Elon Musk, they're demanding that people who work from home in the federal government go back to the office. And so this came at a rather inopportune and unfortunate time for the Republicans. And so basically what happened is that you had Anna Paulina Luna and a handful of Republicans side with every single Democrat who voted to allow proxy voting. This is House Speaker Mike Johnson. This is part of what he had to say to justify saying, no, proxy voting is not what we're going to do in the House of Representatives.
I'm afraid the whole thing is unconstitutional. So I've tried to discuss this with Anna, and she's pretty stubborn about it.
All right, so that is Mike Johnson saying that Anna Paulina Luna very stubborn about this. So this has been a very public battle. And both sides have been very vocal about their issues. And this is Anna Paulina Luna.
They are threatening members right now, and that is unacceptable.
GOP leaders deny that. Luna is confident she can bypass the speaker. Do you lack the votes right now to put this on the floor?
I don't play to lose.
So she was basically trying to bypass Speaker Johnson by getting a majority of House members to side with her and force a vote. Well, you know the margins. And so she was able to convince Tim Burchett, all the Democrats, and I think 8 other Republicans to basically bring this to a vote. And they did. And the Republicans lost. Mike Johnson lost. All Democrats, 9 Republicans total, did side with Luna, giving her the majority, forcing that vote, which would then pass and allow remote voting for Luna and any other member of the House of Representatives.
The Constitution permits the House to establish its own rules, rules which supporters of Luna's measure say were written for men in 1725 and not 2025.
So why are Republicans so against this? We're gonna get to that, but then we're gonna get to how this is going to affect Donald Trump's agenda, because it is going to impact Donald Trump's agenda in a big, big way. Because this has turned into not about proxy voting and working from home and all that kind of stuff for the folks in the House of Representatives. No. This has brought the House of Representatives to a grinding halt, and it is all the fault of Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House. Details straight ahead. 6:15, time to check the roads on WTN. Weather today, high of 84, windy, cloudy, possible heavy storms later tonight. Some severe weather possible as well. We've got your complete forecast coming up on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So why are Republicans against this proxy voting? Well, they say it is unconstitutional. For one, a big part of what happens in the House of Representatives is debate, defending your arguments, defending your bills, defending your legislation, and attacking the other side. And if you are literally phoning it in, then that's going to be an issue. Now, as far as the Constitution goes, this is, like many things, up for debate. Article 1, Section 5 says each chamber, quote, may determine the rules of its proceedings, meaning the House and the Senate can decide how they vote. Remote, in person, by carrier or pigeon if they so choose. It also says a majority of each chamber shall constitute a quorum to do business, which some interpret as implying physical presence, but it doesn't outright demand it. Historically, Congress has assumed in-person voting because that's how it worked in 1789. Travel to one spot, debate, vote, but the text doesn't forbid adapting to new tech or new circumstances. And so that's part of the story. They say that physical presence is part of the job. They also worry about the security of a member of Congress voting from home. They also worry that members need to be able to see each other and they need to be able to dialogue with each other. That's all part of the job. And there's a lot of people that are saying, listen, if you want to work in Congress, you've got to be in Washington, D.C. And so all of this seems reasonable. I'm going to tell you that I think that both sides have really good points. All of these things seem reasonable on both sides. But this Democrat, Brittany Peterson, says the rules do need to change. She is the one who is co-sponsoring this bill with Anna Paulina Luna.
I can tell you, after being a mom here and being only the 13th member to have ever given birth while serving in Congress, voting member, I can tell you we have a long ways to go to make this place accessible for young families like mine. When I was pregnant, I couldn't fly towards the end of my due date, and I was unable to actually have my vote represented here and my constituents represented. After giving birth, I was faced with an impossible decision. So Sam and I made the trip out, and this is our third time now coming to the floor for this vote.
Yeah, I mean, you can hear her. She's standing there at the podium, and she's got the baby, hoping to heck the baby doesn't have a complete and utter meltdown. So Johnson, though, Speaker Johnson, decided to, through legislative means, tie the proxy voting legislation to unrelated legislation that had to do with things like election integrity, combating those rogue judges, and other issues important to Republicans. And he did this because he was trying to force the hand of Republicans to not vote for this deal. But that attempt failed. And because of his failure, he actually canceled voting or work for the rest of the week. And so now all the work on Donald Trump's agenda has come grinding to a halt.
That rule being brought down means that we can't have any further action on the floor this week. That means we will not be voting on the SAVE Act for election integrity. We will not be voting on the rogue judges who are attacking President Trump's agenda. We will not be taking down these terrible Biden policies with the CRA votes. All that was just wiped off the table. It's very unfortunate.
Well, it is unfortunate that you tied it to these votes. Anna Paulina Luna on X. Republicans have the majority, as well as the ability to bring legislation to the floor on election integrity and rogue judges for months. Yet, she says at the last minute, leadership chose to tie my discharge petition to a rules package that would permanently paint me and the members supporting it as being anti-election integrity. She says leadership should stop playing political games with President Trump's agenda. They can bring any of the legislation to the floor. Why would they send, Mike Johnson, why would they send Congress home? They're not serious about anything they are messaging on. She says, I'm not in the business of lying about what is happening in Washington, D.C. So this isn't going away. You've got Mike Johnson. You've got Steve Scalise, the number 2 in the House, and they're saying that this issue is not dead. And so now they're going back. And one of the things I'm going to ask Tim Burchett at 8:05, because he voted with Anna Paulina Luna. And one of the things I'm going to ask him is, what is the next step in this process.
Republican leaders are saying they are not going to concede. They plan to bring this up again next week in some form or fashion, try to add different sweeteners in there, try to convince Republicans to go along, and are warning that if those Republicans don't change their mind, that the Trump agenda could be stalled. So this feud only escalating right now between Republican leaders and the handful of members. And the question now, Casey, is will those members who defy the leadership change their mind, or will they hold firm? If they hold firm, how far could this go? And ultimately derailing the agenda for now.
Yeah, Justin Amash tweeted this out. LOL, Speaker Johnson's claim here is false. GOP leaders chose to combine multiple legislative items into one rule, which the rule sets parameters for debates and amendments. They can still vote on each line item separately. They just don't want to because that would give Anna Paulina Luna a victory. So the other part of this is, okay, so, and I'll ask Tim Burchett this at 8:05. So then my question would be, okay, Representative Burchett, when you voted with Anna Paulina Luna, did you also realize that you were sabotaging any progress on Donald Trump's agenda? Because I do believe that that is a fair question. People are really, really mad at Tim Burchett. I want to give him a shot, and I want to get his side of the story, because one of the things that's out there is a lot of people are saying that GOP leadership kept this tactic quiet and secret until the absolute final moment to vote. So I'll ask Tim Burchett about that as well. Congressman Tim Burchett joining us at 8:05. 6:23 on Nashville. My phone blew up yesterday, Jones. Holy mackerel. I woke up out of a sound nap. I think I had about 9 or 10 text messages from my Republican friends screaming at me to get Tim Burchett on and hold him accountable.
Good. This is the exact reason, in my humble opinion, why some Republicans complain about Republicans.
It's exactly right, Joan.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
You feel better now?
Yeah.
All right, deep breath.
Yeah.
Because it's time to do the tease at 6:24 now. Go ahead.
So it's another nighttime round of thunderstorms that's coming for us. It starts tonight, doesn't end until Sunday, folks. We've got a long stretch coming here. Details on that with Stefano DiPietro coming up here at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.24 on WTN. Dan Mandis here. You know, for me, my backyard is my oasis. I know that a lot of you folks feel the same way, which is why I'm so glad that my friends at Save a Tree came into my life. Save a Tree can help your trees, your bushes, your plants, and your shrubs look amazing. So, for example, if they're sick, they can nurse them back to health. If they simply are growing weird, Save a Tree can actually prune them and make them look incredible with that proper pruning. Now, Save a Tree did come over to my house. I told them my issues with my plants and my shrubs, and they gave me great suggestions on how to fix my crepe myrtles and my shrubs. They are actual arborists at Save a Tree. They can do wonders for your back and your front yard. They can make your lawn look amazing and weed-free. They can treat yellow leaves and diseased shrubs, and yes, they can help you bring those trees back to life. See how beautiful your yard can be. Set up an evaluation of your own at saveatree.com, just like I did. Now, spelling is important. SAVATREE. Saveatree.com. You can also simply dial pound 250 on your smart device and say the keyword Save a Tree. That is pound 250, keyword Save a Tree. Hey, everybody, it's Dan Mandis. Can you take the power of your home internet almost anywhere? Well, you know, with Xfinity, you can. Do more of what you love in the places you go the most with internet and mobile together. Xfinity built a network that is 99.99% reliable. Plus, Xfinity Mobile has Wi-Fi power boost, giving you ultra-fast Wi-Fi at home and on the go. Get the same reliable network in the places you need it most, like in the coffee shop, in line at the grocery store, maybe at the game. All to power more of what you love, whether you're a gamer, streaming, or you simply work from home. Whatever you're into, you'll love how fast you can do it with Xfinity Internet and mobile together. And right now, a great deal. Through April 17th, get 300 megabit Xfinity Internet and one unlimited mobile line together for $30 a month for 1 year with no annual contract. And you can also save $1,000 in your first year over Verizon and AT&T. Plus, ask us how to get a free premium 5G phone. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Equipment taxes and fees extra after promo. Regular rates apply. Actual speeds vary. Savings compared to Verizon 5G Internet plus one unlimited welcome line and AT&T Internet 300 plus one unlimited starter SL line. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced speeds after 300 gigabits of usage per line. Data thresholds and actual savings vary. Coming up on 6:30, Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. All right, coming up, got a number of things going on. One of my favorite stories of the day, though. Joe, did you see this? We can have fun with this.
Okay.
Bill Maher, Donald Trump, and Kid Rock had dinner at the White House.
Yeah.
What happened? What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah.
Apparently nothing, actually. We've got the play-by-play from Kid Rock coming up next here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 6:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Got a crash on 24, the westbound lanes at Haywood Lane. That's exit 57 this morning, and two right lanes are blocked by it. Lots of slow traffic from Old Hickory Boulevard up to that accident spot this morning. We'll keep an eye on it. Got to watch it tonight after 8 p.m. We're welcoming another round of nighttime thunderstorms, complete with high winds, perhaps some hail, and lots of rain all the way through the weekend.
Flood watch is in effect starting today all the way through our day on Sunday. That's how much rain we're going to get through this period of time.
That's Channel 4's Stefano DiPietro. Now, where will the most rain fall? Well, Hopkinsville, Clarksville, Waverly, Murray, and Paris. That's where those folks there are going to see between 8 and 10 inches of rain. Better get ready if you're in those areas. In all areas, though, there is a chance these storms will spin off a tornado. So keep it here on 99.7 WTN. We'll get you all the latest information as it arrives here. The Supreme Court is hearing a case on abortion today. The question, whether South Carolina can prevent Medicaid funds from going to Planned Parenthood. John Bursch from Alliance Defending Freedom, he's going to argue that case on behalf of South Carolina taxpayers.
South Carolina taxpayers, their dollars are being used to fund an organization which is lobbying against the thing that they want, as enacted by their elected representatives. It's kind of an absurd situation and just demonstrates why South Carolina needs to have the flexibility Congress meant to give it.
4 years before the Supreme Court rolled back Roe v. Wade, opposition to abortion in South Carolina drove that state to defund Planned Parenthood. Metro Nashville police are right now working a shooting scene at a hotel in Madison. That shooting reported just before 1:30 this morning at the In-Town Suites on Maya Drive. A victim was transported to a hospital but is expected to survive. That's the latest news. We've got traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Pick a Jones, 633. Dan Mandis here for my carpet cleaning company, Zero Res. Now, I've been a client for years and years, and one big reason is that they really do help my allergies. Now, carpet is the #1 air filter inside your home. It filters out airborne particles and pollen and bacteria, you name it, and Zero Res is going to help you with your filter because, again, your carpet is your filter. It filters out the bad stuff so that you can keep your filter clean by utilizing Zero Res. Now, they do this better than anyone, actually. They don't use any harsh chemicals or soaps, just powered water that leaves behind soft, fluffy carpets. Now, remember, a clean filter means a healthier home. And here in allergy season, that is critical for you and your family. You know that Zero Res, they have not raised their prices in years, and every single month for years now. I've been telling you about their new offers to save you money right now for the month of April. 2 rooms of carpets cleaned for just $109, plus you are going to get a free hallway as well. And you're also going to get 25% off of area rugs. Restrictions may apply. Call them 615-535-9376, 615-535-9376. You can book online. Tell them Dan told you to reach out, ZeroResNashville.com. .635 on Nashville's Morning News, the behind the scenes when Donald Trump and Bill Maher found themselves in the same room. I cannot wait to tell you about all this. Spring season is most definitely upon us. We've had a lot of rain, and that means the grass is going to grow, which means that you, if you need a new lawnmower, you've got to check out my friends at DT McCall's. They are helping you out with their spring Cub Cadet lawnmower sale. Now, it is happening right now, it's coming up this weekend, April 4th through April 12th at their Cookeville location, April 18th through the 26th. That's going to be at the Cookeville location in Lafayette. It's going to be next week, April 4th through the 12th. Now, you should know that DT McCall's & Sons, they are ranked as a top Cub Cadet dealer here in America. They've got all kinds of sizes as well, big ones and little ones, walk-behinds, and so forth. DT McCall's is the place you should get your next lawnmower, especially some of the best lawnmowers around, these spring Cub Cadet mowers. Now, when you purchase a Cub Cadet mower from DT McCall's, you'll be getting access to their in-house service department. It is nearly impossible to find mower service anywhere else. With a large selection of Cub Cadet mowers, free delivery, and an in-house service department, this is an easy choice. Remember, it all begins Lafayette. There's Lafayette location April 4th through the 12th, and then in Cookeville, April 18th through the 26th. As always, find out more information at dtmccalls.com.
Yeah, crews are out on 24 westbound right now. They're trying to get 2 lanes that have been blocked off by an accident cleared away. This is at Haywood Lane, exit 57. A crash there has traffic all the way from Old Hickory Boulevard up to that spot this morning jammed up. They're still working on it. Give them a couple of minutes here. Crash 2 at Long Hunter State Park, Hobson Pike at Granny Wright Lane, and things are starting to slow down too at the 2465 merge. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:39, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Watch us on YouTube, Facebook, X, 997WTN.com. There we are in all our glory. And you can take the Daily Dan poll if you watch on YouTube. And the poll right now, because we had a story about how the Democrats in Congress are horrifically unpopular, even amongst their own party. And so I thought it would be fun to ask you folks on a morning where there's a lot of drama coming out of the House of Representatives, how do you feel about the Republicans in Congress? Because I believe that this is, by and large, a very conservative audience. Thank you very much. And so far, what do the numbers bear out, KGB?
Right now, we're at 66% disapprove to an approval rating of 34%.
Okay, so we're not doing too well. For if you're in the House of Representatives and if you're a Republican, people just don't like you. And I don't think that for based on yesterday's hijinks and shenanigans, I don't think that number is going to go up anymore. Congressman Tim Burchett is going to be joining us at 8:05 here on Nashville's Morning News. We're talking about, just very briefly, then I'm going to get to the Kid Rock thing, but I do want to get this in. So we were talking about Anna Paulina Luna, and I'm not going to reset the whole thing, but Anna Paulina Luna wanted to brought this legislation to the floor. She wants to be able to, basically work from home, vote by proxy. Most of the Republicans don't want her to do that. All the Democrats think, of course, that is a great idea. Tim Burchett and 8 other Republicans sided with all of the Democrats to basically defeat Mike Johnson, the Republican Speaker of the House. So then he, in his infinite wisdom, decided to attach Trump's agenda, some legislation that Donald Trump wants to get done, working through the House of Representatives, to this bill. And ultimately, because Anna Paulina Luna and the Democrats and a handful of Republicans beat Mike Johnson, then he sent everybody home. And all progress stops on Donald Trump's agenda. So all of this has to do with allowing mothers and fathers of newborns to be able to work from home. Well, Tammy sent me a tweet, or an X, posted on X to me. She says the House of Representatives Child Care Center has been providing full-day, year-round quality child care for children of the House community and other federal employees since 1987. So I guess that's part of the conversation, too. It's like, listen, you have, I'm assuming, on-premises child care. So why can't you come to work? And this would be a question I would have. Why can't you come to work, drop your kid off in child care like a lot of Americans have to do, and go to work? But I'm still incredibly angry with Mike Johnson for attaching Trump's agenda and Trump-approved legislation to what Anna Paulina Luna was doing, because he basically was trying to torpedo what she wanted to do. And in essence, what he's done is he has stopped all momentum in the House of Representatives, whatever momentum they had to get Trump's agenda done, because he attached the 2 bills, but that are unrelated. It is so frustrating. Bill Maher and Donald Trump met last night. I don't know if this is the first time they've ever met, but it was a White House meeting. And Bill Maher has basically called Donald Trump a fascist, and he's called him a Nazi, accused him of partnering with Nazis. And by the way, Trump has responded in the way that he always does. So apparently, Kid Rock got these two together. Bill Maher has this, I don't know what he does. It's like they're smoking cigars and drinking whiskey or whatever it is. And so Kid Rock was on his show, and Kid Rock said, why don't you and Donald Trump just get together? And it actually happened. Donald Trump said okay, and Bill Maher said okay. Kid Rock is the guy who put it all together, and he did say that this was a lot of fun.
So when Bill Maher walked into the Oval Office, he said he looked pretty nervous, this, that, and the other. And, the president said something to him real nice, and Bill's like, I need a drink. And the president's like, get him a drink. What do you want? He said, I want a margarita. And the president had his people grab a margarita, and I grabbed a beer, and, man, we had a great time.
That is funny. That is Kid Rock, of course, on with Sean Hannity last night. And, I mean, it was a great conversation. And he did say something that did strike a chord with me, and I think it'll probably strike a chord with a lot of you folks as well. That audio, straight ahead, 6:45. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes, it's going to be dicey the next few days. Today, high of 84, windy, cloudy. Tonight, I think, Joan, did you say around, 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock?
Around 8 o'clock, yeah.
Okay, is when the nasty weather will come in. Possible heavy storms tonight all across Middle Tennessee. Your complete forecast is coming up at 7 o'clock on Nashville's Morning News on WTN. So one of the questions that Hannity asked Kid Rock was, what do you think that Bill Maher is going to say now that he met with Donald Trump and they had, by all accounts, a great time?
I think he's going to say nice things about the president. He's not going to have a MAGA hat on, and he's probably not going to vote Republican anytime
Is he going to hide
in his life.
Now, of course, as you can imagine, the leftist media, they have been crushing Bill Maher for going to the White House. Remember when Morning Joe and Mika went to go see Donald Trump and how they were crushed by the left and the media and so forth? Well, the same thing is now happening to Bill Maher because he decided to go in and meet Donald Trump. Remember how angry Maher has been, though. This is part of the point. Remember how angry Bill Maher has been at the Democrats. And he has been criticizing the Democrats big time, as he should, for their behavior. They've been, destroying Teslas. They've been going out and keying Teslas and so forth. And, he does blame the Democrats for the fact that we do have now a President Donald Trump. I think part of what's going on, this is the common enemy theory, where you've got two enemies, Donald Trump and Bill Maher. They have a common enemy in the Democrat Party, and so it draws those two, Maher and Trump, closer together. And so Kid Rock, in this interview with Sean Hannity, was asked how he was actually able to accomplish getting these two together.
I'm friendly with them both, and I said, man, what if you could sit down and meet them and break bread? That's one thing I've found in life is, nothing gets solved and this country's so divided. I'm like, what if we could just have some laughs, talk about some things we agree on, and maybe just try to set an example for the reasonable people of this country that, it's okay to disagree on things, and, we can talk a little smack about each other, but at the end of the day, we're all on the same team.
I love Kid Rock. I like how he's saying, well, the reasonable people in this country, this is the guy that shot up a case of Bud Light after that whole Dylan Mulvaney thing, but whatever. Moving right along. But I get what he's saying. Sit down and break bread. And so I do like what Kid Rock is saying. Do I believe that Trump was right to meet with Bill Maher? Absolutely. Why would you not? Now, some people are criticizing Donald Trump, saying, why would you sit down and meet with Bill Maher? Because you sit down and you break bread and you see if you have any commonalities. Now, the other thing is this is right up Trump's alley, isn't it? He went on CNN. I believe he went on MSNBC, always out there meeting those that challenge him and extending that hand for a handshake, extending that olive branch as well. And this is part of, for Donald Trump, this is part of what drives the left crazy, is he is willing to engage the other side. Donald Trump has always been like that. Now, could we apply this to our own lives? You heard what Kid Rock said about, being able to talk to each other. We're all on the same boat. We're all Americans and so forth. And I thought about this. For those people who have disconnected with us for being Trump supporters, Sure, I get what he's saying. But realize that most of the people who have lost a loved one through their Trump support, they've lost friends, they've lost relatives, they've lost children, they've lost parents because of that Trump support, well, that's on them. I don't know if I have ever actually heard of a Trump supporter disconnecting with a progressive. It is, and I'm sure it's happened, but it's always the progressive disconnecting with the Trump supporters, not the other way around. So in my own life, I would absolutely sit down and try and reconnect with those that I have lost because I'm a Trump supporter. But would they, and I want you to ask yourself that same question, because I know that a lot of you are in my boat, where we have lost loved ones because of our politics. And most, if not all of us, would absolutely sit down and have a conversation with the people that we have lost. The question is, would those people we have lost sit down with us?
My mind was blown. That's all I can say is just how well they got along. You know, we talked about things we had in common. The president, gave us a great tour of the White House again, even the private residence. It was just, and then he even called me later that night. It must have been closer to midnight. The president called me, and he thought it went great. So did I.
Love it. Now, it would really be interesting if Donald Trump would appear on Bill Maher's show. I don't know if that would happen or not, but it would make sense. I think it does say something that it's Maher's side, Bill Maher's side, really the progressives, that really seem to have this bigger issue with these meetings. A lot of Trump supporters, I mean, some are criticizing the president, but others are saying, well, okay. Well, that's consistent with who Donald Trump is. Could they, Bill Maher and Donald Trump, could they get along, which they did, and set an example for the rest of the country?
I'm like, if they can do it, maybe that family member you have with that you disagree with, that's divided you politically, or that someone, is social standing with a neighbor or somebody, maybe you can, go back and be like, hey, man, let's have dinner and talk about what we do have in common.
We'll have to wait and see if it does indeed set as an example for the rest of the country. Doubtful. But I love the spirit of Kid Rock. I love the spirit of Bill Maher. And I obviously am a big supporter of Donald Trump. 6:51, Joan Jones is in the WTN newsroom. Joan, what's coming up?
So what happened in Wisconsin last night that has negative implications for Republicans nationwide? Also, we'll take a look at the stormy weather that's preparing to push into the Nashville area. Those stories and more right here at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.652, Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Dan Mandis here with a question for you. Got some rough weather coming up, friends. If your roof was destroyed in a storm, how much of that replacement cost would your insurance company cover? Now, if you don't know, you really do need to ask. Some insurance companies refuse to pay full replacement cost. What they're doing, if you've got an older roof, is they're deducting money for that older roof. The older your roof, the less money they're going to pay to replace it. That means that you could be left on the hook for thousands of dollars when you have to replace that roof. Now, my friends at King & Associates Insurance, they will pay full replacement cost. So whether you have to replace a 10-year-old roof or a 2-year-old roof, they will pay for it to be replaced, period. It is that kind of focus on customer service that makes King & Associates Insurance one of the best insurance companies around. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-329-8121. 615-329-8121. Get your royal review. tkinginsurance.com. All right, so you want to hear something fun? This is the behind-the-scenes drama of Nashville's morning news. So I think Brian Wilson is standing me up. He's supposed to come on Wilson Wednesdays every Wednesday. I said, Brian, if you're going to do this, then you got to commit to every Wednesday. And we have not heard from Brian Wilson. Now, here's the thing, and I'm not going to say this on the air, but I'll say it to you guys, you folks, because you sit through watching me all day, is that he usually, checks in at about 6:30, and he has not yet checked in. So, KGB, you got the tap dancing music ready? So I got like an entire, this is my life. I got an entire segment now to fill because Brian Wilson was supposed to join me, and he apparently is standing me up. So I am feverishly looking for what I'm going to do in the next segment. I actually have a lot of content today, so this is not a problem. But I'm trying to decide if I want to do something that I've already done, which is the easy part, or do I want to just throw a bunch of stuff together? What do you think I ought to do, KGB? Should I just do like one topic, or should I just, like I sometimes do, and combine a whole bunch of stories into one and just kind of riff for 15, 20 minutes?
What do you feel more comfortable doing?
I can do anything. I'm a professional. I want a Marconi. I see. We both found that funny. Pardon moi?
Are you questioning me?
I don't know, man. No, I don't think it's a big deal. You know what I'm going to do? Let's see. I think I'm going to... Brian? Well, yeah, but he's got his rig. He took his rig with him. So he didn't tell me. Before what? Before I come back? All right. I'll see you in a few. $6:58, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. Okay, coming up, I got a whole bunch of stuff that I'm just going to fit into like one segment, Joan.
All right.
Do you hear, do you think Caroline Leavitt, people are talking about how she is the best press secretary ever.
Yeah.
You think she's the best ever? I mean, think about Tony Snow.
Tony Snow did it with a smile,
He did, man.
You don't think that's premature, though?
Very good.
Yes, KGB, it is premature.
Yeah.
Because she's only been on the job for like 2.5 months. But, I mean, she does do a great job. But you had Tony Snow. Who else was really good as a White House press secretary?
Kayleigh McEnany was
nails.
Yeah.
Jen Psaki. I
What?
say that with sarcasm.
Okay.
All right, who was worse? Who was worse? Jen Psaki or Cringe Jean-Pierre?
Cringe was
Jean-Pierre.
hands down the worst
Hands
ever,
down.
ever.
She never answered a question.
I wonder what she's doing now.
She has.
Well, hold on. Don't tell us. Don't tell us now.
All right.
We'll do it after the news at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning, 7 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. We do have that accident on 24 that's being cleaned up. In fact, Phil on the super text line tells us that the overhead signs on 24 switched over and the two right lanes are now open on 24 as you're traveling in the area of Haywood Lane. They're working to get that cleared out completely. And we begin in the news this morning in Wisconsin, where voters chose a vacant seat on the Supreme Court in what's now considered the most expensive expensive judicial race ever. ABC News senior political correspondent Rachel Scott reporting from Milwaukee.
This is Wisconsin. This is a critical battleground state. This was President Donald Trump's narrowest margin of victory in the November election. He won this state by just about 30,000 votes. Not only is this a critical battleground, but the state Supreme Court here could have big rulings coming up, including on abortion rights, and also they could be potentially ruling on any congressional redistricting.
Wisconsin, as a swing state, helps to determine who wins the presidency. It's also the liberal Supreme Court would also have the final word in resolving election disputes. Another overnight severe weather threat is coming tonight with a storm that'll put mid-state in a 3 out of 5 severe threat zone. It's the far western portions of Middle Tennessee and the northwest portion of the state that's staring down the biggest threat. Here's Channel 4's Stefano DiPietro.
Now, when you get toward areas like Paris and Murray and getting into portions of Trigg County as well, a rare 5 out of 5 has been issued, as it has for much of West Tennessee.
Now, flooding, downpours, and high wind gusts, they're going to be the main threats, but an isolated tornado cannot be ruled out. Things they'll start rocking and rolling around here about 8 o'clock tonight. Metro Nashville police investigating after a person was found dead in a wooded area in Joelton off I-24 at Highway 431. Smoky Bar News reporting that the person was discovered in a tent in a wooded area. Police say there's no indication of foul play. Attorney General Pam Bondi directing prosecutors to seek the death penalty for Luigi Mangione. He's that man accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Bondi calling the killing premeditated and cold-blooded. She added Mangione as a risk to others. Alex Mallon covers the Justice Department for ABC News.
What we heard in the statement from Pam Bondi is really the emphasis on the fact that this was such a shocking crime that has, ignited passions all across America. I think that is one of the emphasis. That's the emphasis that she is trying to put on this in her direction to the U.S. Attorney in the Southern District of New York.
Market Numbers Report now brought to you by Beacon Capital Management online at beaconcm.com. Investors may be a little shaky ahead of the Trump tariffs. We've got Dow futures minus 211, NASDAQ futures down 161, S&P futures are down 36. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Well, the accident is pushed off to the side, but the traffic delay is still there on 24 westbound at Haywood Lane, exit 57. The one right lane still looks like it's blocked off this morning, and it's stop-and-go traffic from Sam Ridley Parkway up to Haywood Lane. Out at the airport, got a crash reported Donaldson Pike at Terminal Drive and in Talbot's Corner. 65 in the southbound lanes right at Trinity Lane. It's a crash that takes out the right shoulder. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.707 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to get a lot in this segment, but first we have a straggling discussion from the previous hour, and that was, what is Cringe Jean-Pierre doing now? And a very anticipating audience is waiting to hear from Joan Jones. What is old Cringe doing now?
So, they're doing, like, she's doing bits and pieces things.
Okay.
So I don't know if that means that she's going to go into anything big. She's sharing. She and Mark Short are headlining the Janus Forum, which is, it has to do with trading and
The Karen Forum?
Janus, Janus.
They're doing egghead political stuff.
Kind of, yes, which is very, in my humble opinion, that's a, they like don't match, because Corinne Jean-Pierre doesn't have the smarts for that kind of stuff.
Right.
She waded into the White House with very, very little talent, knowledge, but she checked all the boxes.
Yes.
I have a legitimate question. In her time as press secretary, did she ever actually answer a question? Because I don't think she did.
Yeah.
She didn't really say anything. I mean, in answer to your question, she said things, but she didn't answer questions.
Yeah.
She never really did.
Like, Caroline does.
And absolutely. I've got some audio that's going to knock your socks off. So
hold on. This guy, Mark Short, I didn't realize this. He was the former chief of staff for Vice President Mike Pence. So she's appearing alongside of him.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. And this forum is called Trump's Second First 100 Days. Is this the new normal?
Can I pay not to hear them?
Rest assured, folks, I won't be playing audio from that.
Yeah.
Thank God.
So, Joan, have you heard about the accidental deportation?
I have.
So how much do you know about it?
Okay, this is again, we talked a little bit about it yesterday, because this is the hairdresser guy I mentioned. Remember?
No.
We talked about the hairdresser with the tattoos.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so he's the hairdresser with the tattoos. He was deported. He was deported to the El Salvador prison, and everybody's saying, "Oh, it was a big mistake." It was, in a sense, a mistake, but he had already been ordered out of the country.
So this is what the Associated Press is reporting. Acting Immigration and Customs Enforcement Field Office Director Mark Cerna says that Kilmar Albrego Garcia was removed from the U.S. on March 15th as part of a series of deportation flights that sent hundreds of alleged gang members to a notorious prison in El Salvador, even though an immigration judge had granted him a legal protection from deportation. So the Trump administration is now admitting, yeah, they shanked this, that this guy technically should not have been deported. And they've said that. I didn't know he's a hairdresser?
Allegedly. Abrego Garcia was deemed by an immigration judge in 2019 to be a likely member of MS-13. Okay? So we're not talking about this guy is...
So you know what I've noticed, though? His chapter of MS-13, they have really good hair.
Well, now you know why.
I love the term alleged hairdresser.
An alleged hairdresser.
An alleged hairdresser.
He's been living
that's hilarious.
in Maryland with his wife, who is a U.S. citizen, and his child. And I think she was pregnant again. I may be wrong on that.
Okay.
And he was arrested March 15th and sent to El Salvador. His wife recognized him in a video showing the shackled and shaven prisoners. You know, they held their heads down and forced them into the
It's like
prison.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they say it was a good faith error.
Well, okay, but can we just stop? Because he may have been protected by a judge, but the reality is that he was here. Well, was he here illegally?
Yes.
He was here illegally. Well, was his wife an American citizen?
His wife is an American citizen.
Well, okay. So, and then if his wife is an American citizen, who knows? Whatever. Anyway, so the White House does say that they did make a mistake, but the reality is that he is an MS-13 gangbanger. They do say he was an illegal alien. This is so the Trump administration is like, yeah, okay, we made a mistake. This is Stephen Miller talking about this last night with Jesse Waters.
Jesse, you and I have never received in our lives as much positive press
I know.
as this MS-13 gang member has received. We couldn't get headlines like that if our lives depended on it.
Yeah.
So let's just go over the facts here. He is an illegal alien. Fact one, what do you do with illegal aliens? You deport them. Fact two, he's an MS-13. What do you do with illegal aliens who are also in a transnational terrorist organization? You deport them more quickly.
I mean, right?
He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong at all.
Oh, and on top of that, he's implicated in human trafficking. Deport, deport, deport. This is who they're going to bat for. What are we supposed to do? Buy the guy a house, get him some free health care,
Yeah.
maybe let him run for Congress?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. You're supposed to do all of those things.
This is who this is the Democrat Party. This is who they stand for. This is who Cory Booker stands for in 2025. They stand for illegal alien predators that are in transnational cartels. That's the Democrat Party of today. We will win this fight all day, every day.
Well, and here's the deal. Okay, so even if Trump made a mistake, or even if the Trump administration, Tom Homan, ICE, even if they made a mistake, I think most people are like, okay, so the dude technically should not have been deported. But the reality is he should have been deported.
He should have been deported long ago.
He is right where he belongs. He is right where he belongs. So this comes up yesterday. Oh, have you heard this audio from Caroline Leavitt?
No.
So this comes up yesterday during the White House press briefing. And it's what we've all been saying. So it's what Stephen Miller with the Trump administration just said, where Trump is actually forcing the Democrats and the progressives to stand up and stand beside illegal alien, gangbangers, human traffickers. And Caroline Leavitt, she had during the White House press briefing yesterday, she came with some receipts.
And let me tell you why we've made this commitment. MS-13, may I remind each and every one of you, is a brutal and vicious gang. They raped and strangled a 20-year-old autistic woman to death in Maryland. They hacked 4 people to death with machetes in a park on Long Island. They have kidnapped, sexually tortured, and shot a teenage girl in Texas after she insulted them, allegedly. Killed and mutilated a 17-year-old girl in Virginia, stabbing him 16 times and cutting off his hands.
I mean, the reason why she's going through all of this, of course, obviously, is because this dude is part of that crowd. I mean, this is what he stands for. And so she's pointing out that, all right, because the Trump administration has said that this guy's supporters, the gangbanger supporters and the family and his lawyer, I guess, want him to be allowed to come back into this country. And Trump is saying not only no, but heck no. Because the reality is that he's an illegal alien, he's a gangbanger, and he is involved in human trafficking. Oh, and by the way, he's affiliated with a gang that does this kind of stuff.
They beheaded and cut out the heart of a man in Washington, D.C. They raped and murdered a 13-year-old girl in California. They sex trafficked a slew of young girls, including one who was just 12 years old. Raped an 11-year-old girl in Brooklyn while her brother was in the room. Sex trafficked a 13-year-old in Maryland and Virginia. Miles away from this White House, even beating her 26 times on her backside with a baseball bat. Pressured homeless New Yorkers to undergo unnecessary surgeries such as spinal fusion in order to bolster their fraudulent lawsuits. These are vicious criminals. This is a vicious gang. And I wish that the media would spend just a second of the same time you have spent trying to litigate each and every individual of this gang who has been deported from our country as the innocent Americans whose lives have been lost at the hands of these brutal criminals. We maintain our position, and very strongly so.
There you go, Caroline Leavitt. And she's right. I mean, there's been so much made about this illegal alien gangbanger, human trafficker, accidentally getting deported. But the reality is he should have been deported. And that's the bottom line. And as you said, Joan, he should have been deported a long time ago. And the fact that this guy is having children horrifies me because...
Yeah.
Moving right along.
Well, you know what's going to happen now is that the wife will claim, hey, I don't have any way to support myself. So now we're going to, as taxpayers, support her and these children. It's the cycle that just continues.
Well, my question would be, how much did she know about his gang and human trafficking? And if she knew about it, and she did, then, at least I'm assuming she did, well, then she can go to El Salvador or a female version of an El Salvador prison, just like he is, and I don't know what happens to the kids. Anyway, really, really crazy, crazy case. But the fact that the media is, kumbayaing for this guy is beyond me. It is crazy. All right, got to go. 7:17, time to check the roads on WTN.
Terminal Drive and Talbot's Corner 65 Southman at Trinity Lane, accident on the right shoulder. I'm Christy O'Brien.
7:17, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. As far as your weather goes, high today of 84, windy and cloudy. The bad stuff, Joan, is coming about 8 o'clock or so tonight. And,
it's funny because I watched Stefano DiPietro. I believe what he says, right? So he's saying around 8 o'clock tonight. But if you look at your app and the National Weather Service says, yeah, really not till 1 o'clock in the morning. So regardless, it's coming tonight. We have to be weather aware. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, bottom line is, yes, you have to be weather aware. You've got to sleep with your phones on, your alerts on. If you have a weather radio, I've got to get a weather radio.
Me too.
You don't have a weather radio?
I don't, and I want one. So, yeah, it's time for...
You know what?
Maybe we can get a discount for ordering it a bundle.
My third wedding anniversary is coming up. Maybe my wife will get me something sexy and romantic like a weather radio.
I think it's a lovely idea.
Don't you think?
Yeah. To go with your flannel pajamas.
That's exactly right. Moving right along.
Pajamas.
All right, so it is Tariff Day. So at some point today, do you know what time that's supposed to be?
No,
Where Trump is supposed to announce a slew of tariffs?
No, you know what? I should look at the White House schedule for today.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me do that. See if I can get that. If you want to keep talking, I'll look.
All right, well, very good. We have coming up at 7:35, we are going to do a bit of a deeper dive into what happened in Wisconsin. It's a disaster for Republicans. We lost that special vote. Supreme Court. And so now what's going to happen is the liberal Supreme Court in Wisconsin will do their gerrymandering, and they're going to eliminate a couple of congressional seats for Republicans. They're going to gerrymander out those seats and make them into Democrat seats. That is more than likely going to happen. What that means, what the Republicans can learn from that is coming up. The good news is in Florida, we did win those two special elections to replace Mike Waltz and his congressional seat, and also Matt Gaetz's congressional seat. All right, go ahead, Joan.
So I just want to make a note. Kind of funny. Last night, the White House press office called a lid on the night at 8:47 p.m. as an April Fool's joke. It was really called at 6 o'clock.
Oh,
That's
so
how they
funny.
have so much fun over there at the White House. Okay, anyway, the president is holding what he calls a Make America Wealthy Again event in the Rose Garden at 4 p.m. That's the only thing that he's got on the schedule for today.
All right. Well, again, I guess that's probably going to be when the tariffs will be announced.
I think so.
One
Yeah.
way or another. There's going to be a lot of tariffs, and there's been a lot of discussion about it. I've been talking about tariffs and, the whole thing for quite some time now. I'm quite frankly bored of the conversation because nobody really knows what's going to happen when these tariffs are implemented. Here's what I will say is that we have a lot of companies and foreign countries that are investing in America. That is huge. They're trying to avoid the tariffs. That has been a conversation that has been going on now for 2 months. But here's the problem that Donald Trump and the Republicans have. The problem that Trump and the Republicans have is we can see all of the foreign investment coming in. We may see some jobs created. We may make some money on those tariffs. If stuff is still too expensive, if things are still too expensive, then that's going to be bad for Donald Trump and the Republicans in the midterm elections. Now, Trump is doing everything he possibly can right now to remake our economy, and that's what he's trying to do. He basically is trying to completely remake or reimagine our economy. And you don't do that in just 2 months. He's trying to get our economy where we utilize tariffs a lot more strategically so that it helps America, it helps the American people, it helps the American taxpayers, and it helps our manufacturing. That's what Donald Trump is trying to do. And you can't do that in just 2 months' time, especially when you look at where our economy was when Donald Trump took over. I mean, it's like he's piloting this big, massive ship. And he's got to completely turn that ship around. You don't do that just like that. It takes time. And with all of the other things that he's got going on, including the abuse from the federal judges, it is going to take some time. So we'll have to see what happens today. You ask conservative or Republican-leaning economists, they're going to tell you this is a great thing, the tariffs. You've got the economists on the left affiliated with Democrats. They're going to tell you this is going to lead to a recession. Even Donald Trump doesn't seem especially certain that he knows what is going to happen when the full impact of these tariffs is felt. And he may put a few tariffs out there, and we may sort of wade into it, or he's just going to jump in with both feet and say, here's what we're doing, and we'll go from there. We'll have to all wait and see. It's going to happen apparently, maybe perhaps at 4 o'clock. Murphy's show will be on the air, and he'll cover all of that for you and a whole lot more. Tim Burchett is going to be joining me later on this morning at 8:06 on Nashville's Morning News. Right now, it is 7:23 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Joan Jones, what's coming up in the news?
Well, we are waiting on some big storms to arrive in the mid-state. Also, some teenagers that partied in a vacant home for sale. Well, they're now facing charges. Got those stories coming up for you here at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$7:24, Dan Mandis here. Listen, make 2025 the year that you get active again. If you've been sidelined with chronic back, neck, and knee pain, check out my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville and my buddy, Dr. Kevin Mitchell. I've been a client for years now, over 10 years. I've never felt better. I arrived in Middle Tennessee over a decade ago, over 11 years ago now, and I did go through spinal decompression therapy for my chronic back pain. It did really help me a lot, and I got to tell you, spinal decompression therapy does work. And the Wellness Institute of Nashville, they're offering right now the Big 47 offer in honor of our 47th President of the United States, 47% off spinal decompression therapy. They utilize the latest high-tech equipment in their state-of-the-art facility to provide effective non-surgical solutions. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out at 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009. Don't forget the big offer, 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. PainIsBad.com. 726. Listen, we got some crazy weather coming. You know, the weather in Middle Tennessee can get insane, which is why you need a backup home standby generator from my friends at the Generator Supercenter. They are the nation's #1 Generac generator dealer. Get a free quote and get peace of mind when you have one installed. The Generator Supercenter does feature expert installation and, yes, 24-hour monitoring as well. They're not going to leave you in the dark, so get that backup home standby generator by calling 615-879-1952. Financing is available. Find them online at GeneratorSupercenterofNashville.com. I am in trouble. KGB, do you know why I'm in trouble? Like, seriously, do you know why I'm going to get in trouble today?
Why?
This is the behind-the-scenes stuff that you get when you watch the YouTube or whatever. We took that break at like 23. We took that break at 23. So for those of you who don't know, in radio, you're supposed to take breaks, like going into commercials at certain times. And KGB didn't tell me to go to the break until like 23. So I know it's coming, man. Do you think today will be another one of those days where because I used to be the program director. I used to be the boss around here, and it used to drive me nuts when other people wouldn't take their breaks on time. Now that I'm no longer the boss, I don't care.
Well, you just threw me under the bus.
Just saying.
Kind of hurts.
So anyway, but you know what? I think so far it's been a good show. KGB, thumbs up, thumbs down. Good show so far, even though Brian Wilson stiffed us. But that's all right. We still love Brian. What's that? Will you kick his butt later? KGB is going to take care of Brian Wilson. All right, very good. Anyway, so yeah, thumbs up, thumbs down on the show so far. Let me know on the super text line, 615-737-9986. News with Joan Jones is coming up, and we'll talk after the break.
Good morning, 7:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Well, here we go again. An overnight storm may bring us some severe weather. Here's Stefano DiPietro at Channel 4.
Heavier rainfall with flash flooding is going to be one of the highest threats, damaging wind gusts with any thunderstorms. Hail and tornadoes will also, though, be possible as well.
Now, the severe weather threat is a 3 out of 5 here in Middle Tennessee. To the west of us, to the far west of us, it's a 5 out of 5. A dozen teens are now facing charges for a big party at a vacant home that had been up for sale in East Tennessee. This happened on Riverside Drive in February. Cell phone video of that party helped police identify the teens. There is still one more arrest expected. Damage to the home was estimated at $16,000. 2 Nashville middle school students have been arrested for making threats. One of them is a 14-year-old student at John F. Kennedy Middle School. He reportedly told fellow students that he was going to become the next school shooter, and he hinted that he had a list of targets. A 13-year-old at Wright Middle School allegedly told fellow students he had planned to bring an AK-47 to the school. Actor Val Kilmer has died. His daughter saying he died with family and friends at his side after a battle with pneumonia.
Kilmer continued to act with his voice dubbed over by other actors. His final film appearance would be in the most successful movie of his career, returning to the role of Iceman in Top Gun Maverick.
The Navy needs Maverick.
Val Kilmer was 65.
ABC's Rhiannon Kelly there. Val Kilmer also suffered from throat cancer. That is the latest news. Traffic and weather are next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 732, Dan Mandis here. You know, when I first started thinking about lens replacement to treat my cataracts, I was really nervous. I, of course, had all kinds of concerns running through my head. Was it painful? How long is the downtime? And I've also heard a lot of myths, like you'll still need glasses or the results are not permanent. But I did my research, and Dr. Horn and Vision for Life, they kept coming up as one of the best surgeons in Middle Tennessee. My experience with Dr. Horn is absolutely, he's been amazing. Now, during my consultation with Dr. Horn and Vision for Life, he took the time to answer all of my questions, and those were them. He addressed those common myths. He explained that it is a quick 5-minute procedure. Most patients feel little to no discomfort. I felt none. Recovery times are really fast. And I was back on my feet, if you will, within a few hours. Many people permanently achieve near perfect vision without glasses. Now, what stood out to me with Dr. Horn was the personalized care. He tailored a plan specific to my needs and my goals, and he walked me through the entire process, including the options in front of me. So if you've been thinking about vision correction surgery, you've got to call my guy, Dr. Horn, at 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020. You can always find them online anytime, visionforlife.com. 734, Nashville's Morning News. Mark Spain Real Estate. Avoid the stress of preparing to sell your home with the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate. You can skip the hassle of spring cleaning and sell your home fast for maximum value. Dan Mandis here. You don't have to worry about showings, open houses, or costly repairs. Mark Spain Real Estate's guaranteed offer allows you to bypass the market, receive an all-cash offer, and close within days. One of their satisfied clients, Tracy, said the guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate was fantastic. It could not have gone any better. And she says we received an offer higher than we were expecting. She says, I wholeheartedly recommend Mark Spain Real Estate. You know, they've got over 12,500 five-star reviews, just like Tracy's. You can trust Mark Spain Real Estate to sell your home fast with their guaranteed cash offer. Mark Spain Real Estate has been serving families for nearly 30 years. They've got over 67,500 clients. So spring into action and sell your home with confidence. Find out what your guaranteed offer would be. There's no obligation. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. 855-299-SOLD. 855-299-SOLD. MarkSpain.com and start packing.
Okay, on Donaldson Pike, right out there at the airport at Terminal Drive, the crash still being worked on in that spot. Antioch Murfreesboro Pike at Hobson Pike, there's where a crash has been reported. And West Trinity Lane, just before I-65, working a crash there in Avondale. Now in Glencliff, it's a stalled out car that blocks the off-ramp right shoulder from 40 westbound onto Spence Lane. Careful in that area. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.736, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Somebody dropped an F-bomb my way, Joan.
I did see that.
Did you see that?
I did.
So Terry says, enough with the blanking tariffs. Trump went off the deep end after the attempts to kill him. And Terry says he's doing more harm than good. Terry says in Louisville, Kentucky. So I don't agree with Terry, but it's fine. We can all be friends. And I think that ultimately the tariffs will bear fruit. But as far as me, I'm not really talking about it. Today's the big day, but I don't really know anything about what Trump's going to do. So I'll have more to say on this tomorrow here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Okay, so what happened in Wisconsin? Not good for Republicans. I'm just here to tell you what I hope happens is that the Republicans actually learn from what I will call is a brutal loss.
I really focus on
And
our
if I could
Supreme
have some
Court.
audio, that'd be great, KGB. Thank you very much. Here it is.
I really focus on our Supreme Court. I focus on the rights of Wisconsin residents under our Constitution and our laws. And that's what I talk about. I try to, get people to focus on that. I do ask voters to consider whether they want to have somebody be able to buy a seat on the Wisconsin Supreme Court. But I try to keep my focus on this race and what it means for Wisconsin and not what it means as some kind of a nationwide referendum.
So that is the winner, uber leftist, uber progressive, uber liberal Susan Crawford for the win. She won that special election, and now the Wisconsin Supreme Court will remain liberal. And so the problem is that now they're going to gerrymander those two House seats that are currently Republican into Democrat seats. It's perfectly legal, but I hope, trying to make lemonade out of lemons, I hope that this does give Republicans a reality check. There's a lot of folks out there, especially including, as I mentioned yesterday, Scott Pressler, who they're saying that right now the Republicans are still so euphoric on what is going on with Donald Trump and all of the executive orders and the greatness of deporting all of these illegal aliens and, oh my gosh, what's going on with the tariffs, that they have not been paying attention to these special elections. And so part of what this Susan Crawford, she was talking about, well, her opponent, Brad Schimmel, you had Elon Musk, a lot of money, donating a lot of money to Schimmel's campaign. You had the PACs as well. But let's also not forget that you also had George Soros out there, and his ilk were also contributing a lot of money to her campaign. So a lot of that obviously coming from outside of the Wisconsin area, just like Brad Schimmel. And so here's my thing with this, is that the Republicans, this needs to be a big reality check for the Republicans. It does. But the bottom line here is, and I played you the audio earlier, the Democrats, they are still incredibly unpopular. There's actually some folks out there that are saying, well, this proves that there's Republicans that are switching sides. No, it doesn't. And I've got that audio coming up. The Democrats right now, though, they are doing far more with a lot less support. They're motivated. They're angry. And Republicans, they beat us.
I mean, my takeaways from the night are really, where do we go from here? The Republicans still have a small majority in the House. They got their wins tonight. That's good if you're a Republican. Voter ID, still popular apparently. That's good if you're Donald Trump because he was for that. And turning out these low propensity Trump-aligned voters is still a major problem for the Republicans. That's bad. And so if I'm looking out into the future, the Republicans, have something to work with in the House, but also something to work on as it relates to the structural nature of how the party works now. It's a major flip. This used to be the Democrats' problem. You guys had the low propensity voters. We sort of dominated in these low turnout settings. Now it's the opposite. Lower turnout, better for Democrats. Higher turnout, better for Republicans.
Right. And so he is right. And we do need to get those, low propensity voters? They do need to understand that if you want Donald Trump to succeed, then he needs that support in the House of Representatives, even though Mike Johnson's actions yesterday, we'll talk about that with Congressman Tim Burchett coming up here at 8:06 on WTN. But the bottom line is, the media is saying this is a referendum on Donald Trump. It's not a referendum on Donald Trump. Trump was not on the ballot. This was a very local election, despite a lot of out-of-money support. This was a very local election, and you can say that Trump endorsed the Republican, but here's the deal. I think that most people these days look at political endorsements. I don't think they mean as much as they used to. I think that people are cynical on these endorsements and people are sort of jaded on them. I think that's my opinion. But here's the thing. This also gives the Democrats something to cheer about, like a confidence booster. It gives the Democrats some hope. And if there's a group of people that needs hope, it's the Democrats. One talking head on CNN actually said this is a sign that Donald Trump supporters are flipping parties.
Numbers are numbers.
I disagree, and here's why. It's a turnout game. And this is a condition of the Republican Party that is true. We now have a party that's made up of lower propensity voters. They tend not to vote when Donald Trump's not on the ballot. They turn out at lower rates, especially when elections are happening at odd times. And this is an issue the party's going to have to grapple with. Democrats have these higher propensity voters who turn out for everything. And I think it creates a mirage of what you just said, that maybe people are switching. I don't think they're switching. I just think the highest propensity voters are turning out. Democrats have a few more of those right now. I mean, that having been said, my advice to House Republicans right now is eat healthy, get on your treadmill. Try not to die if you live in a district that's any worse than either of these two between now and next November, or at least now in this summer when we got to pass a reconciliation bill, because it's thin margins. But the Republicans, I think, are going to hold this thin margin and hopefully hold it long enough to get Donald Trump's legislative agenda across the line.
That sounds like a diagnosis of someone who thinks you have some flipping voters.
So part of the dynamic here is that, and 2847 says, y'all lost in Wisconsin because people don't like Elon Musk buying elections. I don't think Elon was buying any elections. And you've got George Soros basically doing the same kind of stuff. But it does beg the question, is Elon too involved? Because there are some people that are saying that. Now, I don't believe Elon is too involved. I want Elon to do what Elon's doing, and every day there's another success story coming out of Doge. But there are some Republicans, I guess, who are saying enough with Elon Musk. I don't believe so. However, we're going to switch up the Daily Dan poll, KGB. So right now, the Daily Dan poll, if you are a conservative, which most people listening right now are conservatives, and if you have an opinion on Congress, what is it? What is your opinion of Republicans in Congress? That is our current Dan poll, daily poll. So what are the numbers on that current poll?
Right now, we're still at 64% of a disapproval rating for the current Republican Congress.
So a lot of y'all don't like the Republicans in Congress. Okay, so now we're going to change the poll. The poll now, from now till 9, is, do you feel, and you'll pretty this up, KGB, when you type it out.
That's what I do.
But do you feel like Elon Musk is too involved in the Trump administration? Is Elon Musk too involved in these elections? Because he did pour millions and millions of dollars into Wisconsin. So that's going to be the new poll. It is going up right now. Last thing I'm going to say about Wisconsin, because I've covered this heavily the last few days, is that you do learn more, I believe, from your failures than your successes. So in this case, the Democrats, they came out fighting. They got their ground game out, they got the base out, and they did more with less support. It's a ground game. It's a get out the vote game. They got their people out early, and we did not. And so they won the race, and Republicans didn't. Now, the good news is that we did win, again, those special elections in Florida. Also in Wisconsin, there was some voter integrity laws that were passed. Voter ID was tacked onto officially the Wisconsin Constitution, and that is good. So we do see some victories happening in Wisconsin. So we got to take our lumps, and we got to learn from our mistakes, and we got to move forward. It is 7:46. Time to check the roads on WTN. Weather today, a high of 84, winds and clouds, possible heavy storms. All things are on the table. All bad things, weather-wise, are on the table for tonight, beginning at about 8 o'clock. And we'll keep you posted. Your complete weather forecast is coming up in mere moments at 8 o'clock on Super Talk, 99.7 WTN. All right, very quickly. Tim Burchett. A lot of people mad at Tim Burchett this morning. This all happened actually yesterday when he sided with Anna Paulina Luna on wanting to allow House members to work from home.
Hey everybody, Tim Burchett's leaving the House floor. Luna, tell us what we just did.
We just changed the House rules to allow new parents to vote after the birth of a child.
Seems pretty reasonable to me.
All right, so very controversial for a number of different reasons. This has been brewing in the House of Representatives for a while. And again, that's Anna Paulina Luna. She's been locked in this contentious battle with Republicans to the point where she bailed on the House Freedom Caucus. She said, you know what, I'm done. You folks are smearing me. All I want to do, she says, all I want to do is work from home, vote from home. And the Republicans vehemently disagreed with her, except for an additional 8, including Tim Burchett, who was on her side. And now he is being criticized by a lot of folks. He is being criticized by a lot of folks. Again, he's going to join us at 8:06. But this is House Speaker Mike Johnson, and he said that, you know what, Anna Paulina Luna, she's just being stubborn.
I'm afraid the whole thing is unconstitutional. So I've tried to discuss this with Anna, and she's pretty stubborn about it.
Yeah, so that's what he said. And so what Johnson... this was such a stupid thing. I don't know why he did this, but ultimately what he did was he tied all of the Trump agenda, the Trump-related legislation, rogue judges and illegal immigration and all the things that we all voted for on November 6th, he tied all of that to Anna Paulina Luna's legislation about proxy voting. And so when you had the entire Democrat Party, Anna Paulina Luna and Tim Burchett and, I don't know, 7 other, if I'm doing the math right, 7 other Republicans all banded together so that they had a majority over House Speaker Mike Johnson and the rest of the Republicans. Well, guess what happened? Mike Johnson sent everybody home.
That rule being brought down means that we can't have any further action on the floor this week. That means we will not be voting on the SAVE Act for election integrity. We will not be voting on the rogue judges who are attacking President Trump's agenda. We will not be taking down these terrible Biden policies with the CRA votes. All that was just wiped off the table. It's very unfortunate.
Well, what's unfortunate, Mr. Speaker, is that you tied Trump's agenda to the unrelated Anna Paulina Luna proxy vote legislation. And what he was trying to do was he was trying to, and we'll get Tim Burchett's perspective on this, but what Mike Johnson was trying to do was force them into a position where they had to choose between the proxy voting and Trump's agenda. That's what Mike Johnson did. By the way, Johnson did this knowing that he may not get the votes. And so this was an act of desperation on Johnson's part. Also realize that those 9 Republicans knowingly voted for the proxy voting legislation, knowing that it would kill the Trump legislation. So this whole thing was a cluster, an absolute cluster. And by the way, people are pointing out, okay, well, you can bring back legislation at any time, Mike Johnson. I've got details on that straight ahead. 7:51 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Super text line is open at 615-737-9986. Joan Jones, what's in the news at 8?
Well, coming up, of course, we're going to take a look at what's happening with this weather system that's arriving for us tonight here in the Nashville area. Also, one person, and you'll know who he is the moment I say his name, wants for the federal government to reopen the investigation of the JFK assassination. We'll tell you why. Coming up here at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$7:52, Dan Mandis here from my window company, Window Nation. Now, I endorse these folks because they did great work for me. If you've got old and inefficient windows, it is time to upgrade with Window Nation. You know, they were ranked highest on Forbes' list of best window installers. That's right, top of that list, Window Nation. Now, they put new windows in my basement studio, my kitchen, and my bedroom. They look fantastic, and they can do the same thing for you. And right now, they've got a great deal for listeners to my show. You buy 4 windows from Window Nation, you get 4 additional windows absolutely free. Plus, no payments or interest until 2027. Now, these windows are energy efficient, so not only are you saving money on the install, but on your electricity bills as well. Now, how do I know that you'll be happy? Well, they've got a 96% satisfaction rating and over 20,000 5-star reviews. Now, don't forget that great deal. You buy 4 windows, you get 4 additional windows absolutely free, plus no payments or interest until 2027. Call them. Tell them Dan told you to reach out at 866-90-NATION, 866-90-NATION, windownation.com. All right, so hello, streamers. Hello, video streamers. So I got Tim Burchett, Congressman, coming up. And I'm going to ask you if there's anything you want me to ask Tim Burchett. What do you want me to ask Tim Burchett? Shoot it over to the super text line or do it in the comments on YouTube, because that's where a lot of you folks are watching. Watch us on YouTube, like and subscribe, and do all the things. And then if there's something specific you want me to ask Tim Burchett, you let me know. Because I got 5 or 6 questions, and he's usually really good about that stuff. I'm really interested if people are Team Burchett or Team Johnson. I'm going to ask him, did he realize this was going to be so controversial when he voted with Anna Paulina Luna and all those Democrats? So anyway, going to talk to Tim Burchett. That's coming up. News with Joan Jones is coming up as well. And then we got Chris Hand coming up on his Colts at 8:35.